We have a special guest here tonight. We're going to start the meeting by welcoming Commissioner Kowalski. Please take the podium, Commissioner.
I apologize for Stan Karwowski, Washington County Commissioner, District 2, and I'm in my 8th year, finishing up my 8th year, and I represent Birchwood to the north, all the way down 8 cities, basically a big rectangle shape of county, and I end up in the northwest corner of Woodbury, but there's 8 cities. I haven't been here much. It's probably been at least a year, and because you haven't been needy. John Waller here has done some nice stuff as far as the watershed, and we've been monitoring that, so making progress. But I'm not here for any official business, but I do like to recognize outgoing council mayors. And if I could, I'll read 2 certificates, and I'm going to stay for John Waller, and then I have to run. I'm going to do the similar thing in Oakdale with an outgoing council person, so I apologize for that. I hope to be here for the swearing in January of the new council and mayor. So with that said, if you might mind if I could read these too. This one is, I'm going to set Mark Foster's aside, and maybe if I could leave it with the city, if you could get it mailed to him. Yeah, I'll start with Council Member McCarthy. This is a Commissioner Service Award. If you know of some good citizens, I do like to try to keep my eyes open for a citizen that's doing something worthy that makes your city better. If your city's better, the county's better. So this Washington County Service Award, on behalf of a grateful county, the undersigned commissioner hereby extends recognition and appreciation to Justin McCarthy, Birchwood Village Council member, for 4 years of outstanding service of Washington County's mission, signed by Stan Karwowski, County Commissioner, on data recognition 11/19/24. And then the second one is somewhat redundant for the mayor. Again, a Commissioner Service Award. On behalf of a grateful county, the undersigned commissioner hereby extends recognition and appreciation to Margaret Ford, Birchwood Village Mayor, for 2 years of outstanding service and support to Washington County's mission. And if I could ask you to come down and get these, but before I say that, I just want to say a few things about the county. Working with you on a few projects, your input that you give us at the county makes the county better. And even the work you do on your mission of the city makes the county better. I think there's so many things we do together that they don't really care if it's a city park, city street, or county road. They just want good environment. And I just wanted to mention we've worked together recently. It's tied into Lakes Links, but it's, you know, the East County line, some of the water frontage down there. Going back maybe 4 years ago, the Wildwood Library, input from your citizens, your council, County 12, 244, you know, that one wasn't always pleasant, but I think the end product made a difference. And now with John Waller and the watershed, Rice Creek watershed, from Previe Lake down to Halls Marth, and I think there's you got a watershed plan done, and I think that'll help the park. I think you got a grant, and there's some park improvement. I wanted to point those things out. Those are the efforts you do that make the city better, and as a result, our county better. And I'd like to just give you a round of applause. And I'd like to hand these to you. Maybe we could just get a photo. No.
Okay, thank you. One, two, three.
Good luck in your future endeavors. It's a pleasure.
I haven't signed them either.
Well, let us do approving of the agenda next, and then we'll swing into the open forum. I have one item to add to City Business B, adding an ordinance number 2024-1201, amending the fee schedule for water and sewer fees. So I'd like to put that in there. Are there any other deletions or additions?
Yes. I need to remove, trying to find it. Under L, hockey rink board replacement. Let's go back to the Parks Committee.
Removing both the resolutions, removing both of them?
Yep.
Okay, so item L entirely.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, any other additions, deletions? All right, we have one extra announcement about a workshop that's being scheduled, and I'll add that to the announcements. All right, with that, I'd like a motion to approve the agenda.
Justin will move.
A second.
Ryan seconds. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, agenda approved. And I'd like to open the public forum. John Waller, would you like to address us?
Good evening. Thank you very much, Ms. Mayor. I'm John Waller. I live at 14310, or 14010, I should say. 310 is the old farm, in Hugo, Minnesota, at Homestead Avenue. I'm the Rice Creek Watershed District Manager from Washington County. This is completing my 18th year, and I want to thank you for the gracious and kind, and I hope I can live up to the letter I received from this council. It was, I received a copy of it from Commissioner Stan, and I was surprised, and to say the least. So I'm very happy to receive that. I'm not speaking for the Rice Creek Watershed Board tonight, so we'll make that clear so nobody gets confused. I also will, I've had a very enjoyable time working with Councilman McCarthy on the Privy Lake Halls Marsh issue. And one of the things that the commissioner left out was that years ago, when he was first a county commissioner, unbeknownst to him, or anybody on the county board at the time, I talked to a couple of residents from Birchwood into going down and complaining about the outlet on the marsh because their houses were flooded, or their yards were, I should say. And so we did that. We used their open forum, just like I'm using tonight here in front of you. And the result of that was I got a notice that I was to come to a meeting of the watershed district in the yard of these individuals. And I arrived there expecting to see Commissioner Miron and Commissioner Stan, but instead my whole board was there. So they had them in front and asking them why it wasn't getting fixed. And that began this process where we fixed the bottom of the outlet that had collapsed and should have been inspected and taken care of. The district hadn't been doing their duties diligently, let's put it that way. And we've worked our way through the Preview Lake. We're now at the point, after all these years, and it's been several years, that the agreement is now in front of you and in front of the City of White Bear Lake Council, and of course Matamita, the three of them. And there are some adjustments to be made. And tomorrow night, when I attend the Watershed District meeting, I'll talk about that, the issue between the pipe and how the channel is clear so that it doesn't pile up the water in the marsh itself and continues in the outlet. And that there are some blockages maybe in the bottom pipe, the actual outlet needs to be taken a look at. That's an issue at the Watershed District about the amount of money we spend on maintenance of our facilities, and this is a district facility that we're talking about, including our ditches. And so we're in the process of deciding how we can shift dollars in the next budgets to increase the maintenance and resources that are there, not just in dollars, but also in people. You know, you don't have 120 miles of ditches and these maintenance places that we have to, like the marsh, without them being inspected regularly. Failure to inspect causes collapses and problems that we've had. And it's been, well, I'm going to guess, 5-6 years we've been going through this at least here. So with that, Madam Mayor, I thank you very much for your support, and I'm waiting to hear if the county will actually reappoint me for another term yet. So that's up to the commissioners.
Well, thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
John. We really
Thank you, John.
appreciate all you do for us.
I'm happy to help you anytime. I will be in contact with Ms. Weir. She's was at the meeting in April when we had the contract discussion. I know Councilman McCarthy's going to be gone, so you're going to receive my communications.
Excellent.
So, thank you, and of course, as past, we had past mayors here had no problem at all telling me what to do. So feel free.
Thanks for all your help, John.
Thank you.
Been great.
Thank you. All right, Randy.
Randy LaFoy, 200 Wildwood Avenue in Birchwood. Also, I'm the Cable Commission representative from Birchwood. But I wanted to acknowledge Margaret and Justin's service. I think it's really important for Birchwood residents to acknowledge your service for the last couple of years. It takes a lot of work, you know, to do this. It doesn't seem like it seems like the residents, you just show up once a month. No. It's a lot more than that. So on behalf of myself and other residents in Birchwood, thank you very, very much. So.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Randy.
Randy.
Really appreciate it. Bye-bye, Stan. Bye-bye, John. Thank you for coming. Barton?
Barton Winter, 15 Oaks Lane, and I'm on the continuing theme of the rinks, and of course, right now we're into that cold season, and unfortunately, that, you know, in my opinion, we could have had ice by now, and there's a continuing disconnect between what I think is possible and what the city is doing. And primarily as a result of what the city employee, who is the Jim Rydeen, is the designated flooder for the city. And, you know, I've talked with the city administrator, Becky, and she basically has indicated that he is the one that makes the decisions about flooding. So, you know, we had, before the warm-up of the weekend, we had 11 days below freezing, including 4 days like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, following Thanksgiving, that were highs in the low teens. So they were excellent days for building a base, but he wasn't out there. So now what we have after the warm-up, we have nothing, right? And so why is that? I mean, is that just a trivial matter? We did something, it didn't work, so big deal. Anyway, I want to emphasize that, you know, it seems like this council, and excepting Ryan, because he hasn't been here, but the rest of the council, and even the city administrator, are quite negative about the rink, right? Always defending, always denying that there's any issues. Now, I want to point out specifically that Councilwoman Kathy Weir has presented a lot of obstruction to the rink. Even though she's new, I believe new in the community, but she's presented a lot of information that, like, oh, I'm just on a discovery mission. I'm trying to figure out what we can do. But really, all that is sort of obstructionist. It's shackling the process, giving Jim more justification to do nothing. And, you know, that's what we've gotten. I just reviewed, I've filed a number of complaints, and, you know, the problem is, where's the rest of the people? I've tried to talk to people. They don't want to come here to a meeting. They don't really want to get involved in this. But every time the rink is not being used when we have a chance, it's diminishing its value, right? And I know there are people that live near there, or other people, except even former Councilman Fleck, who told me specifically that I was out of touch with the way that people viewed the rink. And, you know, there's maybe a privatization effort, which,
Arden, can you wrap it up? Thank you.
okay. So all in all, I'm trying to, I would say, one, can Councilwoman Weir explain why she has what I consider be a negative view? She doesn't want me to flood. She said, no flooding. She said,
You know,
okay.
yep, finish your sentence.
Well, anyway, I'm very disappointed. It's negligence. What happened? Okay, it's happened many times.
Thank you.
We
but-
got nothing
Thank
for
you.
our efforts.
Please take
done.
your seat. And I would like to say that Councilwoman Weir has done an excellent job of being engaged on the rink, and she is not negative about it.
I totally disagree.
Please,
It gives us
you-
nothing.
you do not have the floor.
Obstruction.
Please be quiet. And I would like just to say we appreciate her efforts.
I also appreciate our city employees' efforts. So I think we're not perfect, but thank you, Kathy, too.
That's just fraud.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the council? All right, seeing none, I'd like a motion to close the public forum.
I'll move.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The public forum is closed. Next, we have announcements. Becky?
Yes, the ice rink is in the process of being flooded. Once it's ready for skating, we will put an announcement on the website and probably do an e-blast as well. We do have our final upcoming deer hunt dates, the 13th and the 14th, which they are going to utilize. The December Planning Commission meeting, just a reminder that that was rescheduled to the 19th due to the holidays. The Birchwood Christmas party is coming up on Sunday, December 15th from 1 to 3 p.m. The e-blast that went out incorrectly said Saturday, so I will be sending out another reminder and a correction at the end of this week. So again, Sunday, December 15th from 1 to 3 p.m. And then a thanks to Mayor Ford for representing Birchwood Village at the White Bear Lake Historical Society Festival of Trees. So she has a tree there representing Birchwood Village, and that will be at the White Bear Lake Armory until the 21st of December. So go and check that out. And then I think you.
Yeah, and we have one more item under announcements. Incoming Mayor Jennifer has kindly and enthusiastically scheduled a workshop for Monday, December 16th at 6:30 to discuss goals going forward in 2025 and on and beyond. So I wanted to let you know that, and Becky will post that. All right. All right, our next item is city business consent agenda. Are there any items that council members would like to pull out for further discussion?
Can we pull out H?
Yes?
I'd like to pull out A, the treasurer's report, please.
Okay. Right. With A and H being reserved for further discussion, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved, Kathy.
Kathy, may I have a second?
I'll second.
Ryan, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The consent agenda is approved with the exception of A and H. The treasurer's report. Ryan, did you have comments, questions?
Yeah, just a question here. I'm looking at page 28 of the agenda, Cornerstone Land Surveying. This is the land survey on Ash Path 2023. I just wanted to make sure that this is a 2023 charge and not a 2024 charge. Looks like it's basically a year old. I was just wondering about that. I know we've had them out more than once, and the reason I want to ask about this is because of the ongoing legal matter relating to the fence at Ash Path, and I guess I don't have any reason not to vote to approve this, but I just want to make sure that the city attorney is aware of any charges that were made relating to resurveying after the incident at the property. That's all I want to know.
Thanks, Ryan. Yes, those charges are being detailed, and our former city attorney, Alan Cantrud, is aware of that.
Okay, so with that, I move to,
I have two questions.
Okay.
Now that you raised it, some things, I'm like, all right, so, White Bear Township on page 3, which would be PDF page 7, has a $3,435 charge. Equipment and PW charges. Do we know what that's from?
Which one again? Sorry, say it again. Just got
Check number 33199.
page,
White Bear Township equipment and PW charges.
Yeah.
Is that the one that we were looking at, Ryan? No, that was some different.
no,
Sewer utility charge?
Sewer utilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was there a lift station problem or something that,
that seems like a lot to have all of a sudden, doesn't it?
yeah,
I'd have to check into it.
yeah, okay, could you?
Yep.
And then, we're getting 2 solar energy charges from USS Minnesota 1MT LLC. And one of them's from September, which, I mean, I guess, but the other one's from April.
Where are you seeing that? What page?
Right underneath the White Bear Township charge, there's
Okay,
the one from September, and then 2 down, there's one from April that is a little odd.
Is this one where the maybe checks just cleared or something?
Well, this is money that we're paying them, I think, right? So,
So you're wondering why that was paid so late?
well, why is this so late, and what is that? Solar energy? I don't know that we have any solar stuff.
We do. This
have
is
some
a,
backups
this
on
is a,
solar things,
this
don't
is
we?
a recurring charge.
Yeah,
We,
But I'll look into it.
yeah,
Just
I
to make sure
appreciate
why,
it.
just to
Yep.
see why we're being billed for April now.
Right.
Okay.
I would
Solar,
I would approve it subject to the investigation of those charges, basically.
Make a motion.
I'll move.
Okay. May I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries.
So just to understand, we're approving everything except for the 2 items that Justin brought up.
Yeah.
We approved the item that Ryan brought up.
I think we're approving everything, but we would like an update in January on those 2 that we raised. I mean, unless you
We
guys,
can send the checks, is what I'm saying.
I think we can, but you guys might just like,
Give us a heads up
Can
on
I-
what those
you
are.
might just
Can I
hold the
send you-
check until you check on it quick and then send it
And
out.
if everything's
Like,
fine, you can send it out.
I don't think there's a lot of evidence of fraud here, but we just like, we just
Follow
doing
up.
our oversight, so.
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Yeah, with that clarification, Justin has made a motion. May I have a second?
I think Ryan seconded.
Brian
didn't he?
seconded? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Treasurer's report approved with a noted exception.
Becky, one other thing that I noticed in the treasurer's report, but it's not something I'm gonna like pull out of the treasurer's report. It looks like we got a new laptop for mobile CTAS. I think that we need to have some guidance on that because I would hate to have our CTAS database on a laptop that might walk away, get stolen, or other things like that.
Yeah, no, that, the CTAS version's gonna be on the desktop.
Okay.
So that's the, yeah, so I don't know, where are you seeing that?
It's on page 35. It's the claims list for approval. Techie Dude's new laptop for mobile CTAS software.
Oh, the entry's incorrect. It should not say for mobile CTAS software. It's Marcia's new laptop.
Okay.
The CTAS version is staying on the desktop.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure that there's controls in place too, like encryption and some other things to make sure that
No
that
mobile
data is
CTAS.
secured, and if we lose that laptop, we don't lose all our CTAS data.
Yes. Yep.
So, okay.
CTAS is going to remain on the desktop that's
Okay.
located in the basement.
Can you just
We'll correct the entry.
take ownership of that to to make sure that the data is protected and backed up, and to make sure that if that laptop disappears, that we don't lose all of our counting. It should be secured as well.
Well, that laptop's gonna be no different than mine. So techie dudes would
Right.
do
So,
that.
oh, yeah, well, yeah, maybe call techie
That's
dudes.
part of what
and
they would
just
set up.
And just make sure that they have a process in place to make sure that stuff doesn't walk away or whatever. Or if it does, we're covered. You know what I mean?
Like a backup?
Yeah, there should be backups, and then also, it should be protected against unauthorized access if, for example, somebody gets a hold of the laptop. So encryption, for example, or something.
Okay.
And all city data, if it's on a laptop, should have some sort of protection on it.
Like mine, correct?
Like yours.
So he can set it up just like mine is set
Yeah,
up.
well, I mean, yeah, just as long as they're satisfied with it, I'm satisfied, but I just thought I'd raise it.
Yep. Got it.
Thanks, Justin.
Yeah.
All right. All right, now, H, Brian, you wanted to discuss the NYSF agreement.
Yeah, I was just wondering, if is there some requirement that we have this service in the city? Or how long we had this service and how often is it used?
Why don't you give a little summary, Ryan, of what NYSF is maybe for people? Because I don't know that people know.
I did ask, I invited them to this meeting because I knew this contract was up and they were not able to come to this meeting. They suggested February because I knew this would be a time where people had questions
Yeah.
about whether they wanted to renew this.
It looks like the bill is due at the end of January. So I would, the way I read the contract was it continues basically unless we take some active stance against it. So do we want to just table this and do a little more research on it between now and then, maybe? So, or do you have some questions about?
No, yeah,
Ryan?
I
Like,
think
I think that,
if they can make themselves available for the January meeting, I think that would be fine. So just
They can't. I already asked them for January. They're on for February. But I can tell them they have questions about the contract, so really try to
And I
get
do think that, I mean, it's Northeast Youth and Family Services, I do think that residents of Birchwood do avail themselves of the service. And so that we've been using it for yeah, so it's just a nice thing to
I
have a
think-
support system like that.
At some point, they did have stats that showed community usage, and we did use it, but I don't remember.
It was a lot of the older population that needed some additional, well, COVID was a big one for everybody. There was a lot of mental health issues during that time frame that people reached out, and then teen is the biggest population that uses it.
So, yeah, I would say if they're able to provide statistics on how the community's using it, so, even if they're not available, Becky, can you reach out and just get the stats?
the stats.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Yep, I'll do that. And I have not, since I've been here, 2.5 years, I have never had a resident inquire about them. They come up in my job once a year when we sign the contract. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's good. That's
And
why I
maybe-
had invited them, because I thought,
And maybe that's an education opportunity for our residents to say, hey, listen, we have this contract with these people. Go ahead and reach out to them if you need their services.
believe we
That could
have
be a
put
good
them-
opportunity to do that.
Shall we table that item, then tell them they have a chance to respond? Let's
it's,
do that.
the bill is due in January, so let's just talk about it again
Okay.
next month, without,
I know we have mentioned
Prejudice
them
here.
at least twice per year in the newsletter as well. So we give the contact information in
You
the
do,
newsletter.
okay.
Mhm.
All right.
So it's quite possible that we're being bypassed on contact. I
For
wouldn't
sure.
call the city for this anyway.
no,
So
no.
if you were talking to them, you'd probably want to talk to directly, so. They do a lot in the schools specifically as well, so.
All right. So we're on to city business. The first item is a appeal regarding a building permit at 483 Lake. And this,
Did we approve the consent agenda then,
Everything except
we
for.
did.
except for the NYSF agreement?
yeah, we approved it initially, and then we discussed the treasurer's report, and Ryan removed his, so maybe we need to separately approve the treasurer's report as well?
We did, we had that motion.
did.
Okay, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think we're okay then.
Okay.
Yep, okay. All right. This appeal arises from some construction work, a permit issued by the city for replacing an existing deck and wall due to rotting footings and wood, and adding a screen pergola on top of the deck. And there were a number of issues that had arisen during the appeal, and we will detail them later on in this discussion. But first, I would like to open the public hearing and let anyone who wants to address the council, please come to the podium.
Hi, I'm Susie Mahoney. I live at 479 Lake Avenue, and I am the one who placed the complaint regarding the construction that's going on at 483. I don't have a problem with the deck being rebuilt in any way. However, in the past, there has been a privacy fence on the deck, which is now being replaced with a wall. We have pictures. No, I didn't. You have in your packet on page 79 a picture of what the previous structure, the privacy fence, looked like. In all of this, there doesn't seem to be a definition for fence in Birchwood's ordinances. But a fence is a structure that encloses an area, typically outdoors, and is usually constructed from posts that are connected by board, wires, rails, or netting. A fence differs from a wall in not having solid foundation along its whole length.
Thanks.
This is the picture that Larry's handing out, is a picture that Mrs. Harrod submitted with her application for her new structure on their deck, which is a wall. It has a foundation running the entire bottom of the structure that they're putting up, the wall. The previous fence, if you notice, it's the blue one, that is, they're looking in from their yard. And if you look to the right, you will notice there are 3 large posts that are built into the deck. And under those, are attached to those posts, are the privacy fence. And you can see that the privacy fence does not touch the top of the deck. It is just going from one post to another, which is the definition of a fence. However, a wall is a structure and surface that defines an area. It provides security, shelter, or soundproofing, or is decorative. There are many kinds of walls, including border barriers between countries and brick walls. The wall that the Harrods are now constructing is a wall that goes all the way to the bottom, or the top of their deck. It supposedly is 1.5 inches shorter than the previous wall. I take issue with that. I'm not so sure of that. But the ordinance says that the structure that was previously there can be continued. Well, if you look at those 2 pictures, the one of the blue one that shows what the fence looked like, and the grayish colored one, that's on from our side of our lot. That's what the current wall looks like. It's opaque, you cannot see through it. If you notice, the wall previously, where in your packet on page, I think it's 79, where Lexi is sitting on top of the little Tykes house, you could see through the wall, which was a fence, because there was no foundation that was on the bottom or the top of the deck. So we're taking issue with the fact that they are now not continuing with the same type of structure, but a new, different structure, a wall, that they intend to put siding on this side, our side of the wall, which will increase the siding on their home by 20 feet. Their home is already 85 feet long. Another 20 feet, it'll make it 105 feet long, that we will have to look at their siding. We have several trees. We put in approximately 30 trees a number of years ago in the hopes of covering up their home and giving us some privacy, which is about when Debbie suggested that we were looking in their windows, which we made it impossible to look in their windows. But we have 4 or 5 trees by their deck that 2 years ago suffered the menace of the rabbits. And the rabbits have bitten up the trees about 3 feet. We're not certain they're going to survive. And so that would be all exposed to this siding. Okay?
So, yeah, we're not adding issues, we're simply trying to clarify the issues. And one is the fence versus the wall. I mean, you can see on the picture that's up there right now, that's the picture that was in their permit application, and that shows the fence that was on the deck originally. You can see through it, and it's not a wall. Now, if you could switch over to the other one, that is a wall. That is what is going up now with the current construction. So it's clearly not the same. So it's not a continuation of the same. The other piece is that it's not the same in terms of size-wise. It's supposed to be the same size. If you look at that, if you look at the top of the studs, you can see that the rafters for the top of the pergola are sitting on that. Well, that adds another, is it 8 inches? I haven't measured it, but it adds height to what's there. So it clearly adds size to it. So on those 2 different factors, A, fence versus wall, they're not the same. And even if you would conclude differently than we do, size-wise, it's bigger than it was, which is not allowed. So I think,
And the siding that you see on the right-hand side here, that's what we have 85 feet of already. And we intend to put 20 feet more.
yeah. And you can say we cover it up with our trees. We have to replace 4 or 5 of those trees every year. And I don't know how much longer we can afford to continue to do that. So with that, I think we rest.
Larry, one question for you.
Yeah.
Where in your letter did you mention that the rafter is overhanging?
We didn't, actually.
I don't know if we
You
did or
didn't.
not.
Today.
Okay, well, then you can't raise that. You can't raise new issues.
Okay.
All right.
So,
What do you mean the rafters overhang?
well, you were talking about the pergolas.
Well, we're talking about the part that goes straight up.
That's,
I didn't know that. at
you
the-
were saying that these rafters,
Yeah.
those rafters are overhanging, you said about another 8 inches.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, where do you put that in here?
I wasn't even aware of that at the time I wrote that letter.
Then we can't consider that, because that's a new issue.
Well, that's a new fact.
It's not a new fact, actually.
So the only issue you're currently moving forward here is the allegation that this is a fence.
It was a
That
fence.
This is a
it's now
fence
a wall.
that's being turned into a wall. That's the single issue.
Yes.
The only single issue that you're raising today?
Yes.
Okay.
You have,
Also, I mean, the overhang that you're talking about, that's coming towards our yard. There's a 6-inch overhang, which we just saw on the plan. But there's an 8-inch rise on top of the structure. structure, that it was never intended for that.
Could you just list out all, like enumerate each issue you're raising here, each issue where you're contesting the administrative decision of the city?
Well, I'm contesting the fact that the fence, which had 3 posts on it, that there was a margin underneath it, on the top of the deck, that was a fence. Definition of a fence is posts connected by wood. but
Okay.
not having a foundation under it. This wall has a 20-foot 2x4, or 4x4, whatever it is, underneath it, and all of those pieces are put into that 2x4 or 4x4. And the fact that they're putting 20 feet more siding along their house for 105 feet of siding. And this is all within 7 feet of our lot line.
So,
Can you speak into the microphone? He's not catching
Sorry.
it on the.
So this is all within 7 feet of our lot line, and the deck was a non-conforming deck to begin with. So the fence was non-conforming to begin with also, and now they're putting a non-conforming wall, which isn't a like structure to what they had before. It's very different.
Can you address the claim that the reason this is now non-conforming is that you sued them and took some of their land? That's what they're saying, is that the reason the deck was made non-conforming is because of the adverse possession.
Okay. In 2012, the Harrods tried to take 10 feet of our property. And we went to court, and they lost 3.5 feet of their property because we had a wall that was built by one of the previous owners and had been in our yard for, well, they moved in 2004, I believe, or 5, so 19 years ago. But it had been there the whole time we've been here, and we've been there for 40 years.
But at some point, the deck was,
They did not lose
Compliant.
3.5 feet at that part of the property. That's not where the loss was. The loss was down by the beach.
okay.
Maybe,
So it was non-conforming to begin with.
It's always been on.
maybe we should move forward with the public hearings here before we get, and then we can come back to
Sure,
this
yeah,
if we need to.
Justin.
I
Well,
think.
let them
Yeah,
finish.
yeah, Justin had a question.
I don't want them
and-
to have any, I don't
Any
want them to have
objections
any
here?
And I thi- I
Yeah,
think they
agree,
had-
but,
complaints
like-
that we didn't hear them or anything.
Yeah,
or
they
anyone
had rested
have
Ryan,
that,
and
so.
you brought up
Well,
some more questions, but do you have anything more to say at this stage?
No, not really. I
Okay.
mean, I think, we've said it, this is not a continuation of what they had before. The continuation of what they had before was a privacy fence. What I'd like to see them do is remove this wall, which is why we submitted a complaint in early October before they had built anything. And I said time was of the essence. I would like to see a privacy fence like they had before. They can put it really close together, I don't care. But this siding is not a very attractive siding to begin with. And we really don't want 20 feet more of it where our trees are dying in front of it, and it will be very visible on our property. And it's only 7 feet from the lot line, so they should have had a variance to begin with.
Okay, well, thank you. All right. All right, do we have anyone else who'd like to address the council on this matter in the public hearing?
Debbie?
Debbie, are you on?
Yep, I would like
Okay,
to.
all right, please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep, please just state your name and address for the record, please.
Okay. My name is Debbie Harrod, and we are at 483 Lake Avenue. And I'm just going to read my main statement here, and I'll add a couple things here. Because we knew the Mahonis would complain about our deck project very closely with the city administration and city building officials to make sure our deck project was in compliance with city code, which it is. We built our new deck, pergola, and wall per our plan that was approved 3 times by the city. And the wall on the deck has been determined to be a wall 3 times or more, probably more. The planner, Ben, by the Jack Kramer, the building official, And so we built it per our plan. The wall was in the plan from August, from the August plan that we had. And so it's been approved multiple times. We didn't do anything that wasn't in the plan. And the wall height and depth the height is smaller or shorter than it was when the wall was originally built 47 years ago. And we made sure it was built shorter because we knew the Mahonies would complain about this. So we had our builder write a statement saying that the wall is shorter, which is in your packet. And so the claim that the wall is taller and rafters and all this is it doesn't make, it's frivolous. We do support the building commission's decision on the appeal. We had an hour-and-a-half long meeting with the building commission where they went over every single complaint. They added complaints. Mahoney's added like 7 or 8 complaints to the appeal. And the building commission went over every single one of them in depth for like an hour and a half. And they denied the appeal in the entirety. So everything that the Mahonies have brought up has been denied by the building commission. And they went into all of this in depth at this meeting. We had our builder there, and he's unable to come tonight because he's a firefighter and he's working. The Mahonies have been fishing for code violations since we started our deck project. The reality is there is no code violation and there is no hardship to the Mahonies. In fact, they can't even see it from their house. This is simply the Mahonies' chosen method of harassment towards us, which this has been going on for over 20 years. There's no consequence. If there's no consequences for them, they will continue to do this. They will continue to complain and use the city as a venue of harassment. And unfortunately, they have cost the taxpayers of Birchwood thousands, not hundreds, thousands of dollars. And that is just really, really unfortunate. I'm sad for the city of Birchwood right now that they have cost the city thousands of dollars in fees with the consultants and the city. It's wrong, and it should not continue. I want to address the adverse possession. They adverse possessed, which means that they stole 3.5 feet of our property, which our deck was in compliance 47 years ago when it was built. And so the fact that they've stolen 3.5 feet of our property, which made the deck non-compliant, is something that they created. They created the non-compliance. And so the council needs to be aware of that. And so I just wanted to point that out, that this deck was in compliance when it was built. One more thing I want to bring up is, once again, is that the fence, the wall that they claim that's a fence has never been deemed a fence. Ben, Jack, and anybody who's looked at it has deemed it a wall. I don't really have anything else to say except that we would like to thank the city administration, the city attorney, the city building officials, the inspector, Ben, the planner, all of them, and especially the building commissioners who gave their time to look at this, because it's just a frivolous complaint, and the Mahonies continue to do this. And I want to thank the officials and everybody involved for doing a great job, because we worked so closely with them in order to make sure that our deck project was compliant with city code, and it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Do you have
Debbie,
questions?
yeah, sorry,
okay.
Debbie, I have one question. So the old fence/wall, let's call it for now, was that sitting on top of the deck? It looks like it from the picture. Okay, so it
Correct.
was completely supported by the deck?
It was completely on the deck, and it was attached to the house.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Is there any other questions for Debbie from the council? All right. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council during this public hearing? Yes, please. Mhm.
I find it very offensive that Mrs. Harrod says we stole their property when they were attempting to steal ours. They came and told us that our deck was on their property. We always knew that they were on our property by 3.5 feet because our wall extended that far. And the wall was there long before we were, and long before the Harrods were. So when we used historical ownership, that's what happened. We did not steal the property. And I think it's very offensive of Mrs. Harrod to say that we did. I think at the same time that their lot supposedly decreased, it somehow or another increased on the south side, which is public property, which is interesting.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the council during the public hearing? All right. I'd like a motion to close the public hearing.
Justin will move.
Second. Mayor Margaret seconds. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Public hearing is closed. All right. At this time, I think it might be a good idea to try to narrow these issues. It sounds to me like, and please chip in, council, that really the only issue here is this idea that whether the new wall is.
Margaret,
I guess I'd like,
you want to hear from Ben?
Oh, I'd love to hear from Ben, but I wanted to kind of set forth what I.
Oh, yeah, I'm
thought
sorry,
might
I
be
didn't
the
mean to
narrow
interrupt you.
issue.
I just wanted to
That's
make
okay.
sure we were getting to
And-
Ben.
No, we're going to get to Ben, but I just wanted to make sure that if we don't need to address all of the claims, let's address the ones that are still on the table.
I guess I would like to hear clearly from Mahoney's, because there were a number of claims raised in the letters that don't seem to be moving forward. I guess I'd like to hear that clearly, that those aren't being moved forward at this point, so. But I think we can hear from Ben here, so. Yeah.
Ben, go
let's hear
ahead.
from
Go
Ben,
ahead.
So,
Mayor and council, good evening. So I think what we're getting at is, I don't know if necessarily the definition matters, but the fence versus wall determination. When we, Jack and I were looking at it, and Alan and I had discussions, I think what it came down to was, it's a structure on the deck, right? And the fact is, because of the 7.75 foot setback or whatever, that's what makes this all considered legally non-conforming. And at issue is whether you can expand a legally non-conforming use. You can replace, which they're doing, but can you expand it? And I think because it's in the same location, I believe it's of the same size. It's actually narrower. It was a 2x6 before, 2x6 wall before, now it's a 2x4 wall, but same height, same length and everything like that, then it's not an expansion. I think the only question for the Planning Commission, which they determined it wasn't, or they recommended to you that it was not an expansion. The only real question here is whether adding siding on the outside rather than those angled boards, if that's an expansion of the legal nonconformity. Justin, you look like you're about to say something there.
No, go ahead, I don't want to interrupt you.
No, okay.
You have one question.
Let me see.
I have several questions.
I guess the The determination of what it was, we said, if they were applying for this structure for the first time today, if it was a brand-new structure, regardless of the nonconformity or the placement, would they be getting a fence permit from the city or a building permit? They'd be getting a building permit. There's no question. Whether portions of it meet a definition of what a fence may be is immaterial. It's what is the structure and what is it classified as far as what we need to approve. And so the opaqueness requirement, there's not an opaqueness requirement for a wall or for a structure. There's only an opaqueness requirement for a fence. So that's where the definition maybe comes into play, or what the determination is, but we determined through that process that it was not a fence. And there was no opaqueness requirement. So the only thing to consider is whether that siding or whether that, whatever is making up that wall is in your mind an expansion of a legal nonconformity instead of having the angled boards that you could see through from a certain angle but not other angles. So I don't know if there were a bunch of other things there. I'm happy to answer any questions you have specifically. It sounds like you have some.
Okay,
Yeah,
Justin,
so
go ahead.
one quick question. So when you say we, you said we determined, you mentioned Jack Kramer. So just to be clear, this isn't just your opinion, this is also Jack Kramer's opinion. You both agree that this is a wall instead of a fence?
Yes, and the city attorney, Alan, we spoke a number of times.
I thought Marcus had his hand up. Sorry.
Yeah, we can hear from you too, Marcus. All right.
Ben,
Alan and I, the city attorney and I spoke a number of times, and I think Becky was on there too. We
And
were-
Alan had the opinion it was a wall?
Same opinion, yes.
Okay.
All right, Ryan, do you have questions?
Yeah, we saw the picture of the fence, and then we saw it was the overhang. It looks like it's on top of the fence. And then I read in your opinion that the fence is not supporting that structure.
Right.
The fence is not supporting the beam. So is it true that if the fence were removed, that structure would remain?
That's, Jack and I,
Or wall? Are you-
Or a wall.
Or if the fence or wall, fence/wall, I agree, the alleged fence/alleged wall would remain.
The structure.
Yeah, sorry, I'm thinking in my head and not focusing on I'm thinking about the structure above it, the structure that's being constructed today.
understood.
The structure above it would remain standing and be structurally independent of the wall/fence below it.
Yes, Jack and I spent an hour with the contractor
Okay,
to ensure that this pergola or whatever screen porch, whatever structure you want to call it, was not supported by that wall. The initial plan showed 2 footings sort of in the interior of the deck, and then joists that came out toward that wall, and we said, you got to make sure that that wall is not supporting this pergola, because that would be an expansion of that wall. So there are 4 footings, or maybe 6, I'm not sure, for the pergola part. They are all in ground. They all are 10 feet from the property line, the outside edge, and that has an overhang, which we said to the contractor when he asked, well, could I at least have that, overhang to the wall so our screen can be attached to both? And we said, well, if you tack it to that or something like that, that's fine. It just can't be supporting the pergola.
and so what I want to establish here is that piece that I see on top of the wall/fence that was in the picture, and I don't know if I have, here, I've got the picture here that's in this picture.
Right,
If this wall/fence were removed
right.
and this became freestanding,
Yep.
would this portion of the structure be fully conforming? Would this structure here be fully conforming if the fence you would approve a new building permit to construct this?
With the overhang to that point, you're saying? or what?
Well, I'm
I mean,
saying,
that's not a cross beam, I don't think. I believe it's stabilizers between the joists.
yeah, I'm just saying, since this, your claim is this is structurally independent of the wall slash fence,
Yep,
and it would be approved as a conforming structure.
I believe so, yeah. We didn't look at it that way, we just made sure it wasn't supported by the wall.
I guess what I'm getting at is I want to understand that there's nothing non-conforming being added here. And I think one good way to look at our non-conforming code is to say you can build whatever you want regardless of what is there already, as long as you could build that without
Yeah.
what's not there. And so that's why I'm just posing that question, is whether there's something here that's being, that's
Right.
being created in a non-conforming way.
Understood. Our focus was making sure the footings for that pergola were 10 feet from the property line. If you're measuring to those footings or to the outside of that foundation, we'll call it, that's the measurement that would show up on a survey or that we'd be looking at from a building plan review.
Okay.
If it overhangs, there are exceptions to setback requirements. A pergola isn't listed among them, but it kind of has the same purpose of eaves overhanging and things. In this case, it would be not overhanging further than the deck, and certainly less than the house. Whether or not it's more than I think a 2-foot exception or something, I don't know that. I mean, we can do the math and say if the wall is 7.75 feet from the property line and the 2x4 is 3.5 inches, that's more than that extra 1/4 inch. So if they only met the wall rather than placing it a couple inches onto the wall, we could
I guess I'm looking
at that.
for an explicit answer here, though, kind of a yes or no on whether the new construction is conforming.
But you're asking about the outside joists, how far out the joists come?
I'm not asking about that, I'm asking about the whole thing, about
Yeah.
whether the whole thing, is
Minus
it,
the wall.
If the deck wasn't there, that pergola could be there based on where it's
it could
located.
be newly constructed as a
Yes.
conforming structure? That's what I'm asking. Okay.
Oh, I see.
I think we should, I have some questions for Mahoney's if nobody else has anything for Ben, so.
Do you have anything for Ben, Kathy?
No.
So was this, I'm just trying to separate this in my head with the pictures and the plans and trying to figure it out. So what you're basically telling me is there's a pergola on the deck and there's a wall next to the pergola.
Yeah.
They're kind of two separate things.
Pergola is actually built through the deck because it
Okay.
has its own footings.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's, they're touching but not the same.
Yeah, it uses the deck floor, of course, but it's not supported by.
Got it.
All right. Any other questions?
I will remain on standby.
Thank you. We will call you back if needed.
Yes, Ryan.
Okay, I would,
I have
Susie-
one.
Susie, could you just say your name again, just so that we
Okay.
know that-
Susan Mahoney,
Yep, okay.
479 Lake Avenue, Birchwood, Minnesota.
okay,
Ryan, you had asked if anything was non-conforming. When you, oh, that's not up there anymore. But when you look at the pergola, the rafters are tacked onto the top of that wall, which was never a purpose for that wall. And then they extend 6 inches beyond that wall, as you will see if you look at your, the drawing they have submitted. So that is non-conforming. The pergola is non-conforming because it's not a non-conforming structure, and it didn't get a variance.
It's not the code.
Is the pergola rafters are tacked to the wall, correct?
Why is that?
They are.
Why are the rafters, why does that make it out of code?
Well, I'm curious as to what
Why, can you explain, just, hold off, Larry. Why are the rafters extending like that out of code?
Because they're over the edge.
That's not the code.
It would be
The code is it's based on where the foundation
footings,
is.
not
The
the,
footings, not the rafters.
Okay, but it brings it closer to the side.
Doesn't matter, it's based on the footings, not the rafters. So the footings would have to be in the 10-foot setback. That's what Ryan was trying to ask and trying to get at before in his questioning of Ben, is where the footings of the pergola are and whether those are within the 10-foot setback or not.
They are. However, the pergola itself extends to the edge of the deck, which is only 7.5
But that's,
feet.
that's allowed.
Why would that be allowed when there's a 10-foot setback?
Is it in the same footprint as the previous non-conforming? Because that is allowed for our code. When you have a non-conforming item, you can replace it with a similar item. So if their deck was already to that location of 7.5 feet, then that would be permitted, and the footings have been moved in to 10 foot, or, I'm sorry, moved to the 10 foot. So the pergola itself would be allowed to extend to the same length as the deck.
Overhangs are allowed.
Yeah, so I want to just go through and make sure, I kind of agree with Margaret on narrowing the issues here. You had raised in your letter a number of issues, and I did my best to kind of assign these to city codes where they were, where I could. You had raised an issue about 302070, Section 2, that you did not receive a notification relating to the construction of your fence, or relating to the construction of the fence slash that. Is that an issue that you are still pursuing?
No.
Okay, you are not pursuing that
Narrowed
issue.
it down to two things.
Right.
We started this by saying.
We're not adding
narrowed it
anything.
to two things, we were told that one of our two we couldn't do. So
Okay.
the only thing we have now
So the only issue, and so I don't need to go through the issues in the planning commission here.
Ryan, I still
Yeah.
would.
Okay.
I mean, it's before us, they raised it.
Okay.
I don't want any issues of, well, we didn't actually abandon it later on.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. So with respect to 302020 structure location requirements with respect to the setback, are you still pursuing that issue, or are you no longer pursuing that issue?
Well, it's my opinion that that pergola is non-conforming because it's a new structure on a non-conforming deck. Just because they got a variance at 47 years ago to build that deck does not make it a conforming deck. It's still
Is that 020
non-conforming.
though? I think, is that a different?
This is the setback requirement that I'm asking whether you're pursuing that the pergola extends into the setback.
My understanding of it, it does.
And you believe it violates city code in that it extends into the setback. Okay.
Can I say something?
Please.
Yeah, yes, Debbie, please.
Okay, so we had an hour-and-a-half meeting with the building commission, and we talked about these very, very same things. And they determined that the structures that we built were in compliance with all the city codes, multiple times. We've been going over this for 2-3 months. The entire deck, pergola, and wall are already built. And the city has done a great job, an amazing job with everybody who is involved. And we have gone over multiple times that this structure we built, and our contractor has spent multiple hours with the city staff, that it is all in compliance. So for you guys to have to sit here for hours and debate this, it's already been debated. If you read the meeting minutes from the building commission, we already went over all this. And so if everybody looks at that, they've determined that every single item that Mahoney's have brought up was denied.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.
Thank you, yes. Although as part of our municipal process, we do need to look at this anew and let all interested parties have a comment. That's what we're doing here tonight. Okay.
I see
All right.
that. I get that. But I think that the building commission did an excellent job. So
Okay, thank
we
you.
support their decision and the city's decision.
So I'm trying to figure out, like, what is your problem with the pergola and wall?
What was originally there was a fence. It was
So-
supported by 3 fence posts, and they had fence pieces in between. It
So
had a
you-
margin
You don't
underneath.
like, you don't like the design, like you don't want siding there, it's killing
I do not want
trees.
siding there. I would love to have that privacy fence put back with that 2-inch margin underneath, which never touched the deck. It was not a wall. It was set on posts, 3 of them. So,
So is it an aesthetic issue? Like, I'm just trying
yes,
to figure out.
part of it's an aesthetic issue because it's going to be 105 feet of their siding, which is not terribly attractive, and we have 5 trees that are dying in front of it, and we're not sure we're going to replace those, so it would be very visible to our house.
Don't you have a fence there, though? You have a 6-foot privacy fence, I thought.
We have a 6.5-foot fence, which the Harrods put up, which was supposed to be a 6-foot fence. They've got a
So
fence.
they have a fence, so.
They've got a fence on the property line,
We have no control over where that fence stays there.
yes.
Well, I think really what we're just looking at here, though, is the issue of, is adding siding on the
Well-
outside of the wall an expansion of a non-conforming structure?
don't-
We just need to decide that.
Yes, it is.
I think there's more issue. I think
we need to get through
address
all
it.
You know
the
what?
issues
You
here,
know what?
Margaret.
Justin, we can go through each of these claims, even though this seems like it's the only one left on the table, if you'd like to do that.
Yeah, I think we better.
I think we
All right,
should
well-
here. I
well,
think,
you know, then let's do that, and I would invite you, Justin, then, to go through
Sure.
them one by one. and
well, I was
Sariata.
going through them, Margaret.
Yeah.
I mean,
Either way.
I would like a chance to go through my questions here, so.
Well, keep on with your questions, Ryan. Are you going to
Okay.
start at the beginning of the planning commission findings?
I started and we've gotten through 2 of them now, so I'd like to continue if I can. So, okay, and so,
Can you repeat the ones that you've gone through?
all right, so the first one I went through was 3020702, notification to fence for neighbors, which was that the claim that they, sufficient notification 5 days before the construction of the fence was not provided. The second one I went through was,
Well, you
Would
didn't,
you like to make a motion and have us deliberate
Hold up,
and
Brian.
and vote on it?
was that?
hold up, Brian, we didn't really go through them yet.
Mm-hmm.
You just started.
We
So
said,
Start at 302070.
Okay, so let's start at 3020702, notification to neighbors for fence construction. You raised at the planning commission in your letter that you had not received sufficient notification of the fence. And I think we'd like to understand whether you are continuing to pursue that claim.
no.
Okay,
I,
We still need to vote on
regardless,
it.
I think we should
we should
still
decide it.
decide it.
Yep.
And here, and just to give you some background, like, the problem is when we have an appeal that comes in, you raise certain issues. And if you go to the planning commission and you raise new issues, or you take some off the board, it becomes a moving target that's like impossible for us to hit. And so we have to stick with what you originally raised in your letter and decide those, because that's the process, right? Because the planning commission looked at it, and now it comes to us. So we can't add new issues and we can't subtract issues. I mean, maybe if you put it in writing and signed it, we would, but like, I don't want this to come back later and somebody to say, well, you didn't, we didn't really want to remove this or whatever. So we just have to do this very carefully, okay?
Were those codes referenced in the?
They're in the planning commission.
Planning
They're in
commission
the, but
notes.
are they referenced in the complaint, or not the complaint, but the appeal?
Well, no, they're
came
not.
up-
They're not.
And that's
Okay, so
part
that's
of why
where
this
the
is so
adding comes
difficult.
in.
This is really difficult to handle, partly because we're trying to
But isn't that where we're
assign the
adding?
city code.
Because I know that our attorney was very specific about not adding. And so I just want to
that's-
make
well,
sure that
that's
we're
what they're
sticking to
saying.
what's in
So-
the appeal
so-
and not adding codes.
So Becky, their letter said, they stated that we didn't get notification, and that's the section that relates to notification for fences, is 30207/2.
So that code was referenced.
Yeah,
Just not by
indirectly.
number.
I mean, it wasn't specifically called out in the letter, but it
Okay, I
was
just want to make sure that every code that was determined or called out in that letter, so that we're not adding more codes.
We're not.
Okay. Because that was the attorney's concern.
So with my understanding of city code is that for fences, let's, for the sake of this particular section, let's assume that's a fence. We're gonna get to that later, but for this particular code section, if we assume that's a fence, you can sit down.
Well, I mean, I think
If
when-
you assume that's a fence, this code says that for fences, you have to provide notice to neighbors. The exception, that is under the zoning permit. So for a fence, you need a zoning permit and you need to notify neighbors. But the zoning permit ordinance states that if you use a building permit instead, you don't need a zoning permit. So the requirement for notice is under zoning permits. And so, in my opinion, there was no notice requirement because this was done via a building permit.
May I say one thing?
Yes.
Justin inferred earlier that we had not brought up the fact that the pergola, which sits on top of the wall that is presently there, was not mentioned in our letter. And it says the wall they are having constructed will anchor the pergola. They are also building,
But that's not true. It's not anchoring the pergola.
it's tacked on
That's
to
not
the
anchored.
wall. It's still attached to the wall, and the wall is
That's not
using it
anchored.
as, can you imagine it just floating free?
Yes, because it's supported by beams. That's what Ben is saying. It's supported by the foundation. There's no anchorage to that wall. That's what he's saying. I
But
do
it's
have
anchored.
facts to suggest that's not true.
But it's anchored for a reason, Justin. What is the reason that it's anchored?
Because that's just what you do. You nail
Why?
stuff together.
Why would you do that if you don't need it? That doesn't make any sense.
Ben, could you address
That's
that, please?
illogical.
Ben, could you address that?
Yes, I don't know the reason, but when the contractor asked, well, can we at least tack it? I assume it was I know it was for enclosing the screening from the joists to the wall. And I assume it was for general stability, in your words. That's just what you do. The foundation and the weight-bearing beam and the snow load, even though it doesn't have a roof, the load-bearing beams are at the foundation pylons,
So without,
footings, whatever, that are,
so without the fence/wall,
it would still
it
stand.
would still be standing.
be a little
So it's
wobbly,
not
those-
supported or anchored by it.
Those joists might be, wavering or wobbly a little bit.
I guess,
That's the purpose of doing
Sounds
it.
like the wall is being supported by the pergola. They would nail it to the pergola so the wall didn't, well, it's the wall that's being supported by the pergola.
Not supported,
Or,
stabilized.
stabilized.
I guess,
I think we're not.
tell me what
we're
I'm,
not notice to neighbors anymore. Now we've moved on to something different.
tell me, I guess I'm a little confused how we jumped to Becky, but since we're on this,
Yeah,
like, I want to ask a specific question to Ben about this. I want to understand why it matters if you're allowed to expand a non-conforming structure as long as the expansion is conforming. Why does it matter whether the wall is attached to the pergola or not? It seems like that's an expansion of a non-conforming structure in a conforming way, and that's part of what I was trying to understand earlier, is I don't understand why there's this differentiation between whether it's attached to the wall or the wall and the pergola are attached to each other.
I don't believe there should be.
It doesn't, that seems to me, and maybe somebody else has a different interpretation, but that seems to me like it doesn't affect how the non-conforming
Right.
code applies.
If you look at the original appeal letter, the main point of that was this wall will anchor the pergola. And Jack and I spent time out there to make sure that wasn't the case, because that would be an expansion of that wall, or it's,
But it would be a conforming expansion if the new pergola is fully conforming, right?
right, but if there were no footings supporting the entire pergola independently, and it was supported by that wall, I could understand that argument. So we made sure it wasn't.
Yeah, all right. I mean, I don't understand that argument, but okay, it seems
So,
like we've
Ryan, let's just get
overdetermined
back to
this.
it.
Should
Let's
we
get
deal
back to
with
our-
each claim?
I would like to
okay?
deal with the claims a little bit here. It seems like, I mean, I think, so just to clarify, I think we should vote on the notification to neighbors for fence construction.
Right, that's what we were
So
trying to do,
I
Ryan.
will, I will move
That's what we were
to
going.
treat the claim as withdrawn by Mr. and Mrs. Mahoney? and
No,
deny-
I'm not.
oh, to- You think we should treat this as?
No, just decide it. It can be
just
decided
decided?
easily.
Okay, so I will move to, treat the notification to fence, to Mr. and Mrs. Mahoney for the fence construction as, denied because it is a wall and not a fence because it's not anchored into the ground. So, do you want to, why don't you do a motion instead of me? I'll withdraw it here,
listen,
Why
so.
don't you build the
Listen.
record, why don't you build the record just talking about
All right.
the zoning permit?
You don't need to get there at this point.
Okay.
So the notification, it doesn't apply because this isn't a zoning permit, this is a building permit. And you are allowed to have a fence or a wall, even if we're assuming this is a fence, as part of a building permit, and there's no notification requirement. And so I will move to deny that particular count of the appeal for that reason.
May I have a second?
I'll second, Kathy.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, now the next one. Ryan, would you like to talk about the next one?
Yeah,
Ryan,
so,
why don't we skip to impervious surface, because that one's easy too.
okay, so let's skip to 302050, the impervious surfaces and lot coverage. And the claim, as Ben takes it from your letter, is that the pergola will have a roof and increase the impervious surface. You had withdrawn this claim from the Planning Commission. Do you continue to pursue this claim? No. Okay. So I will.
She said, for the record, she did say no. It's hard to hear, but.
So I will move to deny this claim because there is no roof on the structure. It's a screen and it does not increase impervious surface.
I second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. Where do we want to go? To the structure, to the setback issue?
Yeah.
All right.
What letter is that one? Sorry.
B 302020. And so this claim is that the fence or the wall, I didn't understand this claim, I guess, but it extends into the setback. Do you want to address that claim and tell us whether you're still pursuing that claim? Okay, so you were still pursuing that claim. Okay. Could you address?
For the record, Mrs. Mahoney said that she is pursuing that claim.
The
Okay.
claim number,
B,
B 302020. And so this claim is, I guess I just don't understand the claim.
You don't understand the claim. Okay.
I just don't understand what, I think there's multiple things here. Could you just clarify and just explain it to me a little bit?
Well, as I've said, the pergola rafters are tacked on to what is now a wall, and they extend 6 inches outside of previous area, which makes it 7 feet, not 7.5.
What? The rafters? Where did you mention the rafters?
in it, I don't believe it's mentioned in the,
I said,
I don't believe that's
wall,
been mentioned.
they are having constructed will anchor the pergola. They are also building the structure rather as a new structure on a non-conforming deck. I mean, I mentioned that the fact that the pergola is there. I didn't mention the rafters in particular, but they are extending 6 inches beyond the deck,
Well, all right, so
which is
the
non-conforming.
rafters are fine because the pergola itself is within the setback. The pergola itself is in the setback. The wall itself is essentially in the same spot as a previous non-conforming structure. I don't see the issue.
And I don't understand how you cannot see the issue. Because the wall was here, like this, now the rafters are over it like this.
Yes, and
So
that's
it's
allowed.
extending into,
That's
You're
allowed.
allowed eaves.
You're allowed
As
eaves.
far as,
Right.
it's based on the foundation, not the, like, you could have a house that has a tiny foundation with 2 feet sticking out on either side of a second floor, and that is not considered part of that. It's the foundation that is
Okay.
the base.
Yeah, we use the foundation to calculate the setback. And because the pergola is freestanding and not part of the deck or any other structure, it's a freestanding structure. And to Ben, let me just put this as part of the record. I assume, and please confirm or deny this in the record, that the foundations for the pergola are within the 10-foot setback. So if you could come up and just,
Yes, the footings for the pergola meet the 10-foot setback.
thank you.
Yes.
Right. And as part of this discussion from the planning commission, they also talk to the siding issue.
Yeah, well, we can get to that, yeah.
can I just mention one thing?
Go ahead.
What about the 2x4s they have attached to the deck? To attach those things? I mean, is
I mean,
that?
it's
that's-
not up to us to find what's wrong here.
No, I know,
Oh.
but I'm
It
saying,
seems like a fishing expedition at this point.
I am not fishing, Justin.
It seems like it.
Well, that's
say
great.
something?
I'm so glad you think it does. No, Debbie, I'm speaking. You'll have to wait your turn. But they have 2x4s that are on the top of the deck all the way around to attach the screening to.
That's part of the eaves.
Pardon me?
You're allowed to have blocking as part of the eaves. Is that what you're talking about, like this?
Like the,
That here?
this part right here? Between here?
No, what I'm talking about is the 2x4s that sit on top of this deck.
Are you at-
That they are putting the wall onto, as well as the 2x4s that are going up and down, that the screen will be hung over.
Are you asking us whether that meets code?
I think that's not conforming, and you've been telling me that it's.
I'm really having trouble. I mean, it seems like what you're claiming keeps changing and shifting, and it's really difficult for us to even follow
Well,
what
I've
you're
said all
saying.
along that the pergola is a non-conforming structure on a non-conforming deck. I'm just picking out a particular point in the
Keep
pergola.
changing what you're saying about it.
No, I'm not.
Yes,
I'm
you
saying-
do.
I'm saying right here, and I said in here, that the pergola is non-conforming. I'm just pointing out the attributes that make it non-conforming.
We just
I
mentioned
think
that
we-
it actually is conforming because.
I mean, Susie, you can't just say something's non-conforming and then just start, like, cherry picking things. You have to be specific about what you think is non-conforming here, rather than just kind of going, you know, shotgun approach here, right? Like, it's frustrating as a decision maker to try to figure out what exactly your claim is.
My claim
Can
is,
I
that-
say something?
my claim is that the
I- I'd
pergola
like
is
to say something.
non-conforming.
I understand that, but like, that's a broad general thing. You have to say why it's non-conforming.
And that's what I'm trying to do, give you
Because
the
our building
attributes.
inspector has already said or our building inspector and our planner have already said it's conforming, so we need specifics as to why he's wrong.
Well, when you have a non-conforming deck and you put a new structure on it, that makes it a non-conforming structure.
Right.
Because the
But
deck
it's
itself
not a
is.
non-conforming structure, is what we're being told.
The pergola has.
Can you explain to us how the pergola is non-conforming? I think we need that specific instance of where the pergola extends into an area or has an envelope that extends into a non-conforming area.
Well, the rafters do by 6 inches, but that's, not what I originally said. I just said it's non-conforming because you can't put a structure on a non-conforming deck.
But it's not. It's supported by,
I'm not saying what it's supported by. It's sitting on the deck.
that's not the standard, and that's not our ordinance standards.
Your ordinance standards are so difficult to read. To me, when I look at the fence that was previously there, that's a fence. I don't know how anyone could deny that's a fence. You can see through it. Now I'm being told that the wall is a fence, or that was a fence, or a wall.
Well,
And it wasn't. It was a fence.
I'm concerned we're getting off the claim again here. I think we'll
let's
get to the,
Okay, all right, I think we do have enough testimony.
Yeah, we're
All right?
good.
But-
Yeah,
all right.
down.
Okay.
My God.
Debbie,
Right.
do you want us?
Well, I want to say one thing. You guys have been more than reasonable with the Mahonies. They keep trying to add more and more and more. I mean, we've had our chance to be heard, and now I feel like the city needs to make their decisions. Just go through the points one by one. You
We're
can't
working
just
on it,
keep
Debbie.
letting them
We're
speak.
getting there.
We're getting there,
We're
Debbie.
trying-
Okay,
We're
you
getting
can't
there.
keep.
We're getting there. All
I'm
right.
sorry,
Trying-
but
trying
this
to
is
make-
not a fair hearing at all.
Ryan or Justin, would you like to lay the record, and we will vote on this particular claim?
All right, so the claim that the
Sorry.
pergola, I guess, is non-conforming, I vote to deny that because it's,
Just make a motion.
I'll move to deny that because the pergola is, the foundation is within the 10-foot setback and the overhang is allowed by our code.
All right.
think-
May I have a second?
Outside the setback,
Outside.
within the setback.
Yeah,
Yeah.
excuse me.
May I have a second?
I'll second Kathy.
Okay, any further discussion from council? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, do we want to address the wall
Sure.
versus fence situation? I actually think that I was a little, I was a little torn on this one for a little while, but actually, I think Susie's argument, actually, I agree with, but it cuts against her. Her definition of offense, I think, cuts against her because, she mentioned, that a fence is typically a structure erected to enclose or divide land. There's nothing being enclosed by this, either by the old fence or the new fence. It's literally just one-sided. I mean, there's nothing being enclosed by that. The other reason being that a fence is typically supported by posts and boards or wire that connects those posts. I don't see that here. I see something that actually looks like a 2x4 wall. And, being supported itself on the deck lends support that that's a wall and not a fence. And therefore, because of that, what is it, Ryan, you would know better, the fence shading, opaqueness requirements?
Yeah, opaqueness. I
Therefore
think.
don't apply. So I'm going to move to deny that particular aspect of the appeal for those reasons.
I'll second. I would just like to hear from Ben. Ben, could you just give us a little, maybe short background about how you made the determination that this was a wall? What would you use to differentiate specifically between a fence and a wall?
I just don't think it meets anything that would be considered a fence.
Okay.
I mean, it's like Justin's saying, I mean, the enclosing part or supports or anything like that, that's nothing I would even look at. It's just a structure on top of a deck. I don't think there's any way you can consider that a fence.
What-
And then just what I put in the memo and what I mentioned earlier, if we were permitting this right now for the first time, I wouldn't even consider that it might be a fence permit.
Okay. And so,
Why, can you, why wouldn't this just be a railing?
Yeah, you
Why isn't
you
this-
can call it that if you'd like.
I'm just saying,
not-
we're getting so caught up in what it is, but I mean, I could call it 8 different things. The thing, when I look at it, it looks like it was a one-for-one replacement of what was there. Regardless of the design, that's what it was, correct?
Correct,
It's fully supported on the deck, correct?
right.
Okay.
and so there's a gap. Is there a gap? There's a gap beneath. If you remove the deck, there would be a significant gap between the wall and the ground.
It would be,
It would be elevated pretty significantly off the ground.
by thin
Okay,
air.
and so it wouldn't, and so it doesn't really enclose anything. Okay.
Can we have the motion restated? Because we're,
So I'm going to move to dismiss their claims that this is a wall, or I'm sorry, this is a fence and not a wall. I'm going to, because I believe that, for two reasons, a fence is typically encloses no, Susie, no. We don't want to hear from you right now. Not yet. I'm in the middle of a motion. We're going to deny, I move to deny the part of the appeal, sorry, I'm trying to remember what I said.
And a fence is not a wall
That a-
because
yeah.
a fence encloses, there were two
Yeah.
reasons. the
Yeah, a fence encloses, let me, hold on. A fence encloses, or is a structure erected to enclose or divide land. And a wall provides support or acts as a barrier. And the structure in question does not enclose or divide land, rather it provides a barrier. And a fence typically is supported by itself with posts and boards or wires connecting those posts. This particular structure is connected to and supported by the deck. Thus, it is not a fence, but a wall. And the structure that is there now and the structure that was there before, as we heard from Ms. Harrod, is supported by the deck and does not enclose anything. Rather, it is a wall. That's my motion.
That is a long motion.
I'm sorry, I'm providing.
Sorry to the minute
And
maker.
therefore not an expansion.
And therefore not an expansion
Expansion
of a non-conforming
structure.
structure, because the structure that was there before is a wall, and what's being replaced with is a wall, and, yeah,
Okay.
we'll do that.
All right. May I have a second?
I seconded previously, I'll second again.
Okay. A new motion. All right, second this motion. All right. Any other discussion?
Nope,
I think we've had a lot of testimony from you, Susie. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I will also move to deny the claim that, that it's, because it's a wall, that there's any, opaqueness requirement, I think, for a fence. You have to have a certain amount free, I guess. I will move to deny that as well, because we've determined that this is a wall.
May I have a second?
I'll second, Kathy.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Do we have, it looks like we have a few others though, Ryan. We have a fence height that they raised at the planning commission.
Yep, so the fence height was 3020704, that the newly constructed vertical wall component on the replacement deck appears taller than the previous wall component. Are you continuing to pursue this claim?
Just vote on it. I don't. think we
Okay,
need to hear any-
so I would move that the existing, now that it's been determined that this is a wall, that the existing wall now that we've made the determination that this is a fence. What's that, or that I'm just getting confused, that now that we've made a determination that this is a wall, that that the fence ordinance doesn't apply, number one. And number two, that Mr. and Mrs. Harrod and Ben have stated that they have no evidence that the height is increased, and in fact, that the height has decreased by 1.5 inches.
Well, I would add too that we've heard no contrary evidence other than just sort of bare accusations.
And we've heard no contrary evidence that the height of the wall has increased.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Was that a motion, Ryan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Anything else?
30
Citing?
Well, the 304.040, the pergola, we didn't talk about this. Did we talk about that exact code?
Mr. and Mrs. Mahoney raised the 304040 as in the planning commission, so I think we should let them speak to that or let them withdraw it.
I think they've already spoken to that. Their opinion
it's-
is that because it's on a deck
Yeah.
or over a
okay.
deck, that it makes it non-conforming.
So I would move that because the council's made the determination that this is a conforming structure or an expansion of a non-conforming structure, no variance is needed.
Say that again?
That this is,
pergola?
you want to phrase it that
I
the,
would say that the pergola, as the evidence we've seen, the pergola is a conforming structure because the foundation is within the 10-foot setback.
Okay,
That would be my
that's a better-
motion to
why don't you
deny. I
take
will
Justin's
deny
motion.
the appeal that the pergola is a non-conforming structure because it's supported by its own separate foundation and isn't actually part of the deck structurally.
I will second that.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
and I think we should just ask, do we want to just give one more, make sure everything was heard here? I know there were some objections at the planning commission that these weren't the codes that applied, or do we think we've overcome?
Well, I mean,
Here, I
the
mean,
the other thing I would say too is that, our ordinance for appeals require that a person to be aggrieved in order to raise an appeal. And I would just make a separate finding that I don't feel that the Mahoneys are aggrieved by this. They've presented no evidence that, there's a fence there, there's these big tall arborvitaes there, there's, that they can't even see this. And I would separately move that all causes, or the entire appeal be denied for that reason as well, that they're not aggrieved.
Well, don't we want to just stick to the code that we have?
Sure, we can.
that is our code, though.
Well,
But that's part of our appeal code, is that they have to be aggrieved. And I'm just saying that as a separate cause or a separate reason for this, that I just don't think they're aggrieved. I mean, really, when you're talking about what was there and what is there, I don't think that there's much difference, so.
all right.
That's my motion.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Do we have
Motion?
anything else in here, Margaret, that you think we need to look at?
I think we covered all the claims that were set forth in the planning commission packet.
Yeah.
Those were different and expanded from the claims of the original letter, so I think we did thoroughly
Yeah.
discuss any
It's
potential
been
issues.
thoroughly discussed, both in the planning commission and here.
All right. May I ask the council if they have any other concerns, issues that have been raised that we have not thoroughly addressed?
I do have a question that was mentioned often, but I didn't see it in the planning commission. Was the thickness of the siding or something like that, as far as, because it was opaque, but because we've determined it's a wall, I assume it doesn't matter.
I didn't see that raised in the letter, and I didn't hear that raised here tonight.
Something about the siding
The
itself.
thickness of the
was brought up.
siding, yeah, I
Do
agree.
you remember this?
I recall that.
Do we want to deal with that as well? I think we
Remember that,
should.
Ben?
Something about siding?
Well-
The thickness of the siding was something that we talked about.
I just don't know where it was.
Can I say something? Can I say something?
Yes, Debbie?
I would just like to say something.
Yes, please.
Siding has been left off the wall. And so, we would look something in writing from you if we are allowed to put the siding on the.
Correct.
And it was only because Ben asked us to leave it off, but at this point in time, him and Alan had said that the thickness of the siding is negligible.
Okay, so there was something
All right, thank you,
regarding
Debbie.
siding.
And
There was something said at the planning commission about it.
And the Mahonies have been asked to, or I'm sorry, the Harrods have been asked to halt that part of the project.
But there's nothing in the appeal letter about that. That's the
No,
problem
it was just
here.
brought up it was brought up, so I wanted to address it so that it was addressed.
But yeah, I think we need to talk about that to make sure we can release that.
Ben, could you? Yes, thank you.
Thank you. We asked them to not put up with the siding because the original appeal was that this was a fence, not a wall. If it were to be determined that it was a fence, there would be perhaps an opaqueness requirement. So while my response and contention was that that doesn't apply, wanted to make sure that they didn't put it up in case.
Until we decided.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there was that. The thickness of the wall, I don't remember how it came up, if it was in conversation or just at the planning commission or what, or maybe even just talking with Ryan. Adding the siding, does that add a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch or whatever that's width of the siding is? And does that encroach the setback? It's sort of similar to what we're talking about, the encroachments that are allowed or negligible or not even measured. And what I go back to on a lot of this stuff is if we were looking at a building permit that was submitted, drawn on a survey, it would not show siding. It would only show where the foundation is or where the footings are or something
Okay.
like that. So that's what we would be measuring.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Ben.
My view is that it's based, so like we have our measurements based on like foundation, and I think that's just negligible. I mean, you can micromanage this to death, but like, you know.
No, I just wanted to confirm that they
No,
can go ahead.
No, I'm not talking specifically, I'm just talking about this issue, because I think now that it's raised, we might as well just address it, right?
Sure.
So, and I think you could micromanage this to death and say, well, as a coat of paint, right, added to a non-conforming structure, is that like, now suddenly make, you know, them need a variance? And I just think, I think Ben's call on this was reasonable.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we want to,
I don't think we need a motion for it. I just wanted to confirm that
I think we
there's
should,
nothing on.
because
Oh,
they've
fine with
raised it, why
All
not?
right, let's go ahead.
Okay.
I'll move to deny the claim that the siding increases the nonconformity.
I will
I'll
second.
second the motion.
Go ahead.
You mentioned it. No, we didn't. Today you did. Yeah, you mentioned siding. You mentioned the siding, guys. It was raised. I
Can
recall
change
you
the
saying
motion. We can
Change
do
the
it.
motion.
Let's change the motion to that they are, I move that the Harrods are permitted to finish their building permit as planned with siding added to their wall.
All right, I'll withdraw my motion and then second Kathy's motion.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. I think we are done with this.
Do we have anything else? Do we have any other issues? that
Debbie,
need to
do
be
you have
addressed?
what you need, or do you need a letter from the city yet?
We should send a letter.
We should send a letter anyway, but
We would just like a letter saying we can put the siding up.
Okay.
is that we don't need a motion necessarily?
No, I
We
just
said
need
sent when they could stop. We can send one that they can start again.
Right.
Without-
Just an email is fine.
But the siding's
Okay.
already in the original building permit,
Yeah,
so
they can just continue.
I think they just can continue.
Did you,
can continue.
did you hear that, Becky? Debbie said just an email is fine, and it would probably be nice to get it sooner rather than later for them, so.
they can just continue with the existing building permit, because that's already
Yep. All right. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody, for your patience and for everybody's input. I appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you. I want to really thank the city for this. You guys have done an amazing job. Thank you.
All right.
All right,
All right,
can we
I
take a
think-
break?
Sure. Let's take a 4-minute break.
this shit all the time.
I know, right?
Welcome back, everybody. We'll continue the meeting. We had a few technical difficulties, but we're back recording. All right, our next item is city business. B, utility rate increase. And we have Shelley Rucker, treasurer from St. Anthony, here, and she works with us on our billings and difficult questions of what to do with our rates. And thank you so much for being here, Shelley, and for the great work you've done for us. Could you kind of give us a summary of what we've done so far on this?
Oh, sure. Thank you, Mayor, Board, and council members. And then, as you got the memo before you tonight, is the 2025 proposed budgets and rate adjustments for the water sewer fund. Both of these follow a process that we kind of use annually each year. We review the water and sewer operations for 2024, and we look for reoccurring cost trends, any changes in trends, estimates, and we estimated the remaining costs for the last about 6 weeks you've got going here into what the 24 operations are to date. And so in the attachments, you'll see the estimated actuals of the operations. We look at the revenues earned from the usage rates charges we have and the flat rate charges, and just basically come up with a bottom line for the 24 operations, and then move on to what the 25 operations are going to look like. In that instance, we look at what Met Council is going to raise the rates to you for treatment costs. Those treatment cost rates are going up 5.6%. And last year it went up 6.8%. Met Council treatment also, they allocate their budget based on flows. So if your share of the overall treatment whole metropolitan area shrinks as a percentage, your actual there's likelihood that you might not feel that full effect of that rate increase because you'll get a smaller slice of the pie, similar to kind of almost property taxes work. So even though the rate is increasing 5.6%, your cost actually for 25 is not up at that same equal amount. And then we look at also what water the city of White Bear Lake charges you for water. And they have proposed rate increases. I think they're maybe even working on it on this council meeting. At their city, they have proposed a 9% increase for water rates overall. There are various tiers, but the blended rate is about 8% for this year. It was 9% for last year. We also look at what the history of water main breaks is. Last few years, they've been a little more costly, probably driven by labor costs going up and such. So we use an average, have used an average in the past of 5 years, probably looking at the last 2 years average to budget what we want to put in for 25. Then lastly, you have, I think you're going to go through bid results tonight. But as long as the bids come in at about what they planned, and I think that was going to be kind of the case, the known cost of the city is a 20% match on the grant. So I've factored in here funding that $20,000 match requirement out of the sewer funds next year. So it will be a one-time fee that after you earn that $20,000, then that would drop off in the 26 rates.
Okay.
So moving on, we have the attachments that I've shown, prepared here. And so that basically the city's usage rates were impacted by the 8% increase in the cost of the water bills, and the water main breaks being greater in the last 2 years. With those two things factored involved in, I had proposed an increase in the flat fee from $40 to $50, which will help us keep up with the cost of water main breaks. And then we have factored in rate increases I think it was, what was the rate on that? well, as you could see, we had rate increases of about 56 cents per 1,000 gallons up to 78 cents per 1,000 gallons. And if you look at your tiers, this is, based on usage, 84% of your customers fall within the first through third tiers. If you factor in what using first quarter water usage, they use about 10,500 gallons. So the cost of that usage increase would be about $6.65 on average per quarter. So with the $10 fixed fee, the water customers would see, on average, or 84% of them, a $16.65 increase per quarter. Moving over to the sewer funds, the flat fee I'm proposing is flat because the costs don't, the usage costs don't, or flat fixed costs don't demand that to go up. The unmetered fee, usage fee covers 15 accounts, and basically those are accounts that we don't service the water, so we don't know the metered usage of water, so we can't then meter the sewer usage. So we set it at a typically higher usage so that we wouldn't be shorting ourselves. And I've just increased that by the 4% that we're increasing the usage fee. And the usage fee increased by 4% just kind of mimics a little under that 5%, 5.6% fee increase we're getting from the treatment. Because sometimes your flows shrink in comparison to others, sometimes they're greater. So you gotta have to protect yourself somewhat in those rates by kind of keeping some kind of matching to that, what Met Council is doing. So with that, in your sewer funds, and then lastly, I've proposed a lift station replacement fee. Or you could call it a grant matching fee, I just named it something. But that would equate to $14.50 a quarter per account to raise approximately that 20,000 for the match. So the usage portion of the fees would create $1.89 a quarter per each customer. So on average, we'd have an $18.54 increase per quarter. That is for the operational things, and the one-time charge is the $14.50, which would bring that to $33.04. But that $14.50 will be retired in 2026. And I want to say it'll be retired because unless there's some overages in the lift station replacement that we have to, the unexpected contingencies, you can continue that fee to recover those costs if they were in excess of the 20,000 that you anticipated. So that's my proposed rates, and I have presented the financials. And with that, I was just going to mention, I've been doing this for those of you who don't know me, I've been doing this for about 15 years for the city of Birchwood.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks.
In my capacity at Little Canada, and now in my capacity at St. Anthony. I'll probably be doing it for a little while longer. So, but we've usually been able to manage the cash fund so that we don't use general fund or levy dollars for it, and it's just kind of self-contained. So I think these would be reasonable rate increases, but I'll stand for any questions.
Council, do you have questions for Shelley?
I have a comment. Thanks again for your lovely breakdown. It's very thorough. Appreciate it.
You love numbers, don't you?
Yeah, well, after a while, you kind of get a pattern. And
Yeah.
this is how the puzzle goes together. And
This is
it's
so
actually kind
detailed.
of nice to have something new once in a while.
You can see trends, and then if there's something that you need to throw in there, you can do that.
Yep. So,
Easy to decipher. We'll go with that.
Ryan, did you have questions for Shelley?
No.
Okay, Ryan, did you have questions for Shelley?
Yeah, I guess, I think you calculated this out just fine, though I didn't go through it in maybe the detail that I'm known for, but the lift station replacement fee, it looks like our bids came in for $20,000 roughly under maybe the number you based on, because you based on about 605.
My understanding is you had 20 grand match.
And
Based on, and maybe the match might be less.
So, yeah, I have, and I don't want to criticize what you did here, but it looks to me like the bids came in, number one, they came in about $18,000 or $20,000. Is that correct? Below what Bolton and Make had estimated, number one. And number two, we have this big capital projects PW fund, and someday somebody's going to let me in on the secret of what PW stands for, but that has 100-some.
Public Works.
Public Works, thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, and I don't know if I want to look, but when I looked earlier, it had 100-some thousand dollars in it. My thought was that we would take the balance, and if another city council member wants to impose a fee, I don't necessarily oppose that too strongly, but I guess I thought we would just take the balance for the lift station out of some of those funds that we have set aside for PW Public Works anyway.
We could do that, Ryan. I'd like Marcus maybe just to address us briefly, though, about the working capital needs we need for this project. You know, when we can draw down funds from the grants, and we have to prove it, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so Rice Creek, I'm not sure on, but with the EPA grant, it's a reimbursement, so you get it afterwards. So the city will have to front the whole cost essentially, and then beyond that, once we provide all of the documentation that they require and or review that they need, that's when they provide a check to the city, from my understanding of it.
Okay, yeah, and that's why we have those funds, and,
Yeah.
but I was thinking that perhaps it would be good, though, to get our match by this methodology if we want to free up working capital.
Yeah, I think it would be safe to save, just in case.
Okay.
The other, okay, so it sounds like you have a little different view on that, and that's fine, I don't mind. Did you want to comment on that, Shelley? Because I have one more remark to make.
Yep, go ahead.
Oh, okay. The other comment I have is we pass our fee updates by ordinance. And so these would be first quarter fees. The intention would be to put these on first quarter, right? And so in order to have these in and updated in the first quarter, we would have to have this published by the end of December. So we'd have to, if we're going to do these fees for first quarter, we'd have to have a special meeting to pass the second reading of the ordinance.
Well, they're built in.
These would go into effect for the quarter that gets billed basically about the end of March.
Yeah, but we can't put the fees into place. We have to have the fees in place before the quarter starts, and we can't pass an ordinance for the second reading tonight.
I'm not sure we have to have them in place when the quarter starts. It's just when the quarter is billed.
You bill it,
That's
we
the
wouldn't-
previous advice we've gotten from Alan. but
Yeah, I think
that's
that would be
wrong,
better to
that's
have
fine.
these official before because it's kind of like you're raising prices on people after they've already consumed the water. It's probably not a good look. I mean, I don't think it's an issue for us to get together and like bang the gavel for 10 minutes just to pass this. I think that would be the belt and as Alan would say, that would be the belt and suspenders approach.
Yeah, that's not a problem. We could have a
I don't
special
think
meeting
that's a
to get it.
problem. I think that's an easily solvable issue.
Going to be here on the 16th potentially.
Potentially.
So,
If three of us are here, then that's all we need, right? We could do it on the 16th.
Okay. Any other questions for Shelley, though, on the numbers? I mean,
I think that's a good job. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and so I take it you'll pass this down the road?
Yeah, we'll pass the first reading tonight, and then my guess is we'll do
We do have a resolution.
yeah.
And so we'll do the resolution
Yeah.
first, and then pass the ordinance.
Well, the ordinance.
And then do a second reading on the ordinance.
And I think there is just one little typo on one of the ordinance on,
There's actually two I found. The one that I put. Yeah, I think I put this together after the packet.
Okay.
So, Yeah, and there's definitely a typo, and then I missed the water utility user fee going from 40 to 50.
Oh, yeah.
So I
was
circled that one
aware
too.
of
So there's 2 adjustments to this for the second reading for the ordinance.
Okay.
But we haven't gotten to the resolution yet even,
So,
so.
so I think
Let's
you
start
can
with
just
that.
correct it on record well before you pass it, because it's the
Right,
water sewer usage rate and the flat fee for the water.
and the flat fee rate,
But that's just in the ordinance, the resolution is correct.
correct.
Yeah, yeah,
Correct.
okay, all right,
Correct.
great.
Now, wait a minute, though, you can't do that on the 16th, because the second reading needs 10 days notice. I need to
That's
notice it 10 days.
That's only for zoning, right?
Merry Christmas, everyone. City council meeting.
Becky, let's find out how much notice we do need, and we still have some
It's
days
10
left.
days, because
left
I
in the
looked
month.
it up on Friday when this came up, when Ryan, or Monday, whenever we're talking about it. So I
Okay.
looked it up,
that's
and
fine,
that's
we
why we
I
had,
think we'll be able to get a quorum to do it.
That's in our bylaws?
it was in the, no, it was in the League of Minnesota City stuff, I think.
That can't be.
You know
'cause
what, there's so many things, I can't
Okay.
pull it out right now, but I
Let's
know
do it
that
on
I
the 16th.
investigated it, and it needed a 10-day
There's gotta be
versus 3-day.
some notice requirement.
Most cities
There
don't
is,
even do
it's 10
second
days.
readings. Most second cities don't have this, so there can't be.
I think we'll be able to schedule it before the end of the year. Okay.
And so, whatever you do, will my presence be required?
No, no. And
you.
Shelley, thank you so much. We appreciate this, and thanks for your patience with our democratic process tonight. Yep. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Well, may I have a motion to adopt Resolution 2024-54, approving the 2025 water and sewer rate increases set forth in the resolution?
Justin will move.
All right, may I have a second?
I'll second Kathy.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries, resolution approved. And now we will move to the ordinance. First reading of ordinance 2024-1201, amending the city fee schedule to reflect the 2025 water and sewer rate increases that we passed by resolution.
This is the first reading.
Yep, motion is to send it to second
Send it to
reading.
second reading and public hearing.
Do we need a moving? I'll move.
Great, all right, second?
Why not?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
And like I said, there are a couple of changes, so I'll make those, and then I'll have to let you
Great.
guys know, but I do know it's a 10-day notification.
That's right, we will make sure we follow up with that and get it
Christmas
noticed
Eve.
properly.
I'm gonna be on vacation, so
Good.
you guys look at your meeting.
All right,
But we need to queue it up to publish maybe even.
10 days, yeah, that's tough. We're cutting it to try to get that all.
Well, we can queue it up to publish now, can't we? On the assumption that it'll pass.
Say that again?
Well, we could send it to the Waybear Press to be published, like if it's a Monday that we vote, you could send it to the Waybear Press to be published on the Wednesday,
On that
2 days after
Wednesday.
that, even if we haven't voted yet. And then if,
We could,
for some reason, I don't necessarily expect a lot of controversy about this, but.
right. It's just the numbers from the resolution put into the ordinance. so.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
People drinking eggnog.
I'm making my
mean-
picket
Council.
sign.
You know,
creating
this-
problems.
Shelley called me about
might
this
have a Tom
today.
and Jerry incident, I don't know.
Yeah, she did call me about this today, because she had this concern. And she said, she thought that it was okay since the actual billing didn't occur until the end of the quarter, but it sounds like you guys aren't okay with that.
Yeah, we don't want to charge somebody.
That's what I said, I don't know if
different.
that's gonna work.
Yeah.
I think we'll be able to tee it up in time, we'll figure that out, and if you can't, if you're on vacation,
And you know
Becky,
what?
that's okay, we
If
can
it's
take
next
notes.
quarter, if it's Q2, it's Q2.
Okay.
That's
That's,
the way it is.
All right, yeah.
If we approve it and it gets published in January, is it the end of the world?
That's the thing, that's what I was wondering, like.
well,
Well, I think we can clear up this issue, we don't know it right now, but someone knows this, and we'll be able to find that out.
Okay.
Okay, all right, let's move on.
The one thing that would be nice is some communication to people about why these increases are happening. It's not because Birchwood's trying to get rich. It's that our costs have also gone up, and so if you're mad about it, go blame White Bear Lake. Because they're the ones that increased it on us. So, you know, I don't know, maybe that's something in the newsletter, Kathy, that we can put in and just say, hey.
Newsletter doesn't come out until April.
Oh,
You could do a,
maybe an
you could
email
do a,
blast,
a email blast.
an email blast back
Do I
then.
really want to alert everyone to the fact? I mean, this is the question.
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
We have
because
to
it's-
tell them anyway that.
We have to tell them that your rates are going up.
Put them,
Well, we are telling, this is a public meeting.
I know, but I think this would be, I understand that, but I think that communicating to them why their rates are going up, that, hey, listen, your rates are going up because what we're being charged from White Bear Lake and for water and sewer is going up, so your rates are gonna have to go up as well.
You want
You
that
don't-
in an
You don't like it, go call White Bear
In the
Lake.
email, when we say that we're gonna have a special meeting,
Yeah.
here is what's happening and why, and then there's a special
We
meeting.
don't send out an e-blast for meetings, so, but I can send out a particular e-blast about utility fees.
Yeah, I think we should send
Okay.
something. I would appreciate it because
Will do.
I just think people need to know. And I
Budget
think
being
people need to know why, and it's not us. We're not trying to get rich here. We're not trying to like fund some super secret project to whatever. I would
the
just-
secret Birchwood bunker.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Building a
Diamond
fence,
All
or
right.
a wall.
all right, on to the next item, C.
Do we pass the ordinance?
We passed.
No.
Yeah, we did.
No.
I don't think we voted. Let's
Yeah,
vote it
we
again.
moved it
Did we?
to second reading. Justin Hankins.
Okay.
All right, it's late,
Yeah.
getting a little
Just in
loopy.
case I.
You have that, don't you? We did that.
Yes,
Okay, all
I
right.
do have that.
Okay,
I
all
hope
right,
it's right.
C, a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit throughout Birchwood, discussion from the Road Safety Committee. Laura,
Boy, it's feeling later.
please come, yeah, you're up, please come and address us on this.
Cora Hankins, 165 Wildwood Avenue. I'm here in response to the Road Safety Task Force. Art Arsenault and Ron Malice worked with me. We spent a fair amount of time drafting a policy for road safety. I emailed everyone the policy. I have a copy of it here if anyone would like to see it.
It's in the
Any
packet, I think.
questions about it?
Yep, we read
It's in
it.
the packet.
Okay. I also have, and I'd like you to look at this. This was not in the packet. But this is the resolution for if we want to pass it.
Yeah.
This is the resolution, and I just want to.
Oh, yeah, we have that too in the packet. Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Yep.
Is it okay if I read it then?
We don't need it.
Do we need a motion to adopt the policy?
Yeah, I think what I was gonna suggest
Okay.
is that we incorporate another whereas clause in the resolution to adopt the policy, because that seems like something we should do via resolution to adopt that policy.
Let's add that.
I do want to make one tiny amendment to the policy, because on page 150, second paragraph, it says, the final sentence, the city contains no county or state roadways, which is true, and the city receives no funding from either the state of Minnesota or Washington County. We're supposed to be getting funding this year, so we can just say, instead of no funding, just very little funding, I think would make.
Minimal.
Minimal funding, that would be a good word, yeah. So replace no with minimal, that's all.
What page was that? What page was that on?
150.
Page 150 in the
Second paragraph.
packet, the first page of your road safety.
Last sentence of the second paragraph of the document.
Okay.
That's all.
It says no,
Just change no to
Minimal.
little
minimal.
Minimal?
Minimal.
or minimal, yeah.
Minimal funding. And then, so in the resolution, I just would want to add a whereas, let's see. So I would change the title to a resolution adopting the road safety policy. And Becky, I'm writing this right on the copy,
Oh,
so I
very
can
nice.
give it to you. So, a resolution adopting the road safety policy and reducing speed limit, I would just say is setting, and I would just say setting a speed limit of 20 miles per hour on all city-owned residential roadways.
I like that.
And then, let's see. Yeah, and then, whereas, and then between the two main whereas clauses, and the second and last one, that, whereas, I would just say a road safety task force investigated this issue and developed a road safety policy. And then, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Birchwood Village to adopt or reduce, well, I would just cancel the word reduced, just to adopt a speed limit of 20 miles per hour for all city-owned residential roadways and adopt the road safety policy promulgated, it's one of those fancy words, promulgated by the Road Safety Task Force. Okay. Does anyone want me to go over that again? Maybe we can put this up on the Elmo, or whatever they call it.
Elmo?
Yeah, that's what they call it.
I'm very disappointed if that's Elmo.
That's what court call, like the
Really?
courts call it, Elmos. I don't know why, but that's.
It's a brand.
It's a brand. There you go.
Oh.
That's why.
So,
All right, so this would be, sorry, it's my chicken scratching, so I apologize. All right, so if you go up a little bit, yeah. So resolution adopting the road safety policy and setting a speed limit of 20 miles per hour on all city-owned residential roadways. So then we're okay with the first two whereas clauses. Then we have another one, whereas a road safety task force investigated this issue and developed a road safety policy. And then the last one, now therefore be it resolved to adopt a speed limit of 20, because I don't want the word reduced, because some are currently 20 miles an hour, and so to a speed limit of 20 miles an hour for all residential or city-owned residential roadways, and adopt the road safety policy promulgated by the Road Safety Task Force.
I like it.
Any comments?
That's your motion, right?
Well, my motion is going to be to do the resolution as amended by my chicken scratchings.
Then I second that.
Becky, all right, sounds like,
Yeah.
There were a couple things to change on the actual policy. One of them was, it was asked that we provide the web sites where we obtained some of the,
Okay.
Sourcing.
some of the, what do I want to say?
The
The studies from. So I have that in here. I can give that to you.
Can you download the studies? And that would be preferable, rather than if you can download the studies or the web pages and print those out and then give those to Becky, so she can just put those along with the policy. And then that way, if this, because the problem with a web address is it's it can change, right? And people can take stuff down off the site. So if we can just print something out, that'll be more permanent, that I think would be a little bit better. Does that make sense?
Yes.
and
What is she printing out?
Yeah, the studies that we're
There's,
citing.
yeah, so there's a website, 20 is Plenty, and so there's some studies they have on that website, or some information that they have on that website. And I think it would be beneficial for us to print that off, just in case, like, maybe that organization goes belly up and they no longer ever, they take down their website. Now, all of a sudden, we don't have that, and so now somebody,
So print up the studies, but put the 20 is plenty as the?
We don't even need the webs, you've identified that
Oh,
in the
okay.
thing. I would just print out either the studies or whatever they're saying about the
Oh, and
studies.
they're in this packet, the policy packet.
The studies are?
I wouldn't put the studies themselves in the policy specifically, but what I would do is give them to Becky, so she has a copy, so that if we need to later, we can refer back to those. This is the basis of our road safety policy.
Okay,
Because the problem with just a website is it can go away tomorrow, right?
Okay.
So if we have those in our file for later, we don't ever have to go looking for them again.
okay, so I'll just follow up with you one day and,
Does that make sense,
Yeah.
Becky?
Well, what I'm expecting is that you print some documents out from this website and give them to me.
yes.
Am I understanding that correct?
Well, I have the documents actually in the policy, but you want them
You
to.
do?
get out
Are
of
they in the
policy.
packet?
I didn't see
Yes.
them.
Oh, then tell me, yeah, because then we've already done that. So let's look at that. Because I think, yeah, you have,
It's Appendix B.
okay, let's look at that.
You want to look at this?
Well,
Yeah, I mean, I looked at it, but,
like, I think what Justin means is like in Appendix B, you say, studies from 20's plenty for us. You're referring to a study, and he's just suggesting that you include a copy of that actual study, the source document you used as, you know,
Backing up.
in additional backup material to the policy.
Okay,
yeah.
so is not to be a part of the policy, but a backup.
No, it's just a
Just,
backup document in case that 20 is plenty for us goes away.
Yeah, just to fulfill our statutory requirement.
Yeah, exactly. In case someone challenges it in court, and then we can't find the 20 is plenty ever, and then they,
Yeah.
Okay.
so I have the motion, Kathy
So this
seconded.
Appendix A is not what you're talking about, though.
No,
For
and
the
that's,
Rose.
and the appendixes themselves should be part of the policy. I think those are officially part of the policy,
Oh,
but
okay.
I would consider them anyway. And then, but we need the study, like a copy of that, put it in the file with the rest of this, and
Okay.
then we're good.
Okay.
That sounds good, okay.
I
makes
also
sense.
added Appendix D to my copy here, which is the studies that were done by Washington County Police on the speeds that were documented in Birchwood.
Yeah, I think we have that.
I think we
You have that?
Yep. The last page.
Okay,
Just needs to be labeled Appendix D then.
Yes.
okay.
All right.
So then you'll just send me or you're gonna have to print them.
Yes.
Yeah,
What if I print and just stop by
perfect.
and, go through stuff with you?
Sure,
And
okay,
then
that
if you,
works.
and then Cora, can you and the rest of the task force kind of help Becky with the next steps? Because we're gonna need signage, we're gonna need to inform residents, things like that.
Yes.
Because I think you have that as part of your plan, so let's just,
It is, and one of the things in the plan said that publicly notifying residents, drivers, people about the speed limit really helps people try to stick to that
Yep.
speed limit.
right?
The two things was, enforcement, which we can ask from Washington County. The other thing is publicize what the speed limits are.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see if I could get a article put into the press about Birchwood is reducing their speed limits, please, and I can
You know,
use some of the.
the other thing is I've seen like communities that have signs, right when you enter, they've got a speed limit sign, and then underneath it says, all speed limits in whatever community, 20 miles an hour unless otherwise noted, and so I think that would be good for us.
I believe there is one as you're going out of Birchwood into.
Yes, into Matamidi, that's exactly it, and I think that would be a good thing to have, just to inform drivers. That way they can't ever say, well, I didn't know what the speed limit is. You knew what this, it says right on the sign.
They entered in at any point. They should have seen it.
And then I also, Ron said we should, do you need the costs that we came up with a long time ago?
Let's,
This is just for
let's vote on
signs.
this, on this, because we have the motion, and then we can talk about the costs. I would recommend, Margaret, let's, I'm afraid we're going to get away from the motion.
Vote on the motion.
So,
I believe you made it. I
yes, you
seconded that
seconded
one.
it, yep.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay.
All right, excellent work, task force. Thank
Yeah,
you, Ron and Cora and Art.
I will say this is a pretty impressive document, so
Yeah,
there's a
this
lot
is
of
good.
very nice work that went into that,
Yes.
so, you know,
It was all of us working together.
So
Yeah.
you
Doing it.
approved the resolution.
Yeah, we
correct?
approved the resolution, which adopted the, what is the?
Resolution
what is the
2024-53.
Safety, road safety
Policy.
policy, as well as setting the speed limit.
but
Wait a minute, you approved resolution 2024-53,
53.
correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
But that resolution, yeah, as
As
amended
amended.
by what I gave you.
Ah, right, right, right.
Yeah.
Becky, you would,
Which is adopting the speed, gosh, I always forget, the road safety policy as well as setting the speed.
Becky, you would do this anyway, but you would just post the policy to the website.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Please.
Reminder, yep. Okay, 2024.
As amended by like the,
Just
changing that.
throw it up there, then the speeders can download it at their convenience.
I'll talk with, I'll get together with Becky and we can talk about the newsletter, you know,
Yeah.
how we're going to publicize it.
Newsletter would hit in April. I don't know how long it takes to get signs.
What, say that again? I'm sorry.
I'll let you finish your typing. You good?
Yeah.
All right. The newsletter comes out, well, it's finished in April, so it'd be for the November. February, oh, hold on. When does that come out?
I'd have to look.
Hold on, 1 second.
Too many details for me to have
Let me look at the
them all.
map. The map. Let me look at the calendar. Okay, so I just did one in November that came out with the bill in December, so the next one would come out in, let's see, done in February, come out in March. How long does it typically take to get signs?
Oh, it just takes a couple days. They just come from down south of this Lakeville. There's a place in Lakeville that just sends them ground, so it takes about a day.
But as far as
Do
producing.
we want to have an effective
Yeah.
date for this? That's maybe in the future.
Scheduling staff is the real
Yeah.
delay in digging, putting a thing. In fact,
We can give,
It's
yeah.
gonna be frozen
yeah,
ground too.
that's right too.
So
Yeah,
Well, ideally, these are going on posts that are already there. For the-
that's true. There are existing posts, so
Do we want to amend this so that it goes into effect in like a month or two to give people notice?
well, it goes into this effect when the signs go up.
Exactly, and
Okay.
you know, I don't know that we're gonna be able to, I mean, we can put that deadline out there.
I think
Yeah, I
just
think
let's let staff figure it out. So
Give them some notice.
As long as
though,
we've
and-
told people and then got it in the newsletter, because we're required to notify multiple ways. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so then once our signage goes, well, do we have to notify prior to the signage going up? I assume not.
That I don't know.
Yeah, I think you
I mean,
do.
theoretically, the sign is the notice, right? But
Right.
still.
Hopefully we can coordinate them so the signs are going up and we're getting
Same
out
time that the White
information.
Bear Press is posting and then,
Maybe don't stick the police on them just yet, though.
Could you talk into the microphone, Ron? Thanks.
Ron Malice, 420 Wildwood. There's one option there that we work with staff, Art and I, and put the signs up and replace them fairly quickly. Or the staff does it. And I don't know whether or not it's safety issues or a liability issue, but we're open to help if need be, or do it ourselves.
Okay.
One is $450, the other one is $1,000. We use the staff.
we gotta
At
make
least that's
sure
what
we give them a
thought.
vest.
So I don't know if you want free labor, but we're willing to do it. And
Yeah,
when
that's
the
Right
sign-
now,
love-
we're working,
we
we're working
love
on
free
stop
labor.
Free labor, are
signs,
you
Love it.
kidding me? Like,
so-
we love free labor, Ron. I mean, are you kidding me?
You guys already passed some other stuff that we are also working on. So we've ordered those signs, we've got stop signs, yield signs, ones
You're on the
that
hook
says,
now,
do
Ron."
not go to the right, do not go to the left. So,
I'll need
right,
Yeah, I know.
right side up. That's all.
Yeah.
The ones
Well,
that
let's
we're
give people
putting-
some notice, in terms of like, wait until, let's wait and to replace the signs until after maybe we put in the
Newsletters,
newsletter at
I would
least, you know what I mean? Like, because otherwise people are gonna freak out and just, it's
Speed
not
limit
gonna-
will start March 30th, et cetera.
Yeah.
And that way, we do it right.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Rather than quick and, then we can think it through and plan it out and communicate well, and that's,
Additional volunteers to change them all at once synchronously. Be amazing.
do it right.
This policy didn't happen overnight.
No, I think people have plenty of notice, yeah, but we will give them even more notice, yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Effort.
Do we need to approve the money to spend on the signs for this?
Do we have the previous estimate? I assume the price hasn't changed enough to change it.
Material estimate is $495.
Just, I move to
$495
approve
for the 10.
$700, not more than $700 to buy new speed limit signs for the updated speed limit.
Have Ron and his friends put them
I second it, I second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
on. Thanks, thank you.
Thank you.
Just a thank you to Justin and Margaret. Thank you for your service. I know it's a lot of work, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thanks for working with us on the road safety.
Yeah, my pleasure.
It feels good to finally be here.
We're
Thank
almost
you.
over to the finish line. Thank you. Thank you both. Marcus.
Yes, our next item,
so
lift
patient.
station bid.
Sorry, I know it's late.
Been nice and patient for us.
Yeah, so, as you guys saw, we got 4 bids last week. One withdrew their bid, and I see it, the reasonings attached, so, the other 3 are known contractors that do lift stations and whatnot, so, yeah, does the council have any questions before I start?
Yeah, so with the Twin Cities Utilities, I just want to verify here, because when I read this initially, it almost seemed like he was saying that our bid proposal was wrong. But now I'm reading, so because he says, I would like to withdraw my bid proposal due to discrepancies with the bid for Birchwood Village, numerous mistakes in the bid proposal and bid bond not being correct for the 5%. I assume he's referring to his own bid proposal, not our
Correct.
package?
Yeah, so like for the
Okay.
bid bond, for example, was just a screenshot of a bid bond with a set amount. It wasn't a
Okay.
bond, yeah.
And then he didn't include some other
Yeah, the-
aspects that are.
Yeah,
okay.
other requirements that we needed, so.
All right, and then, so you were saying that all 3 of these are fairly well established and
Yep.
known companies that do this stuff
Correct.
regularly? Okay.
Yep.
Is there some reason why we wouldn't go with the lowest bidder?
Nope, we don't have any reason to. We
And,
reviewed.
I mean,
all 3.
I just want to put a fine point on this because we had another issue where we bid out some work and something happened and now we're kind of like pointing fingers at like, oh, you should, and I know, Marcus, you had said that, and to my memory, we were never given a choice of, say, quote, a second package that included a survey or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
So my question for you is there any other things that we should be looking at here? Because when this lift station is built,
Yeah.
I don't want any problems with this thing to come back to us to say, well, you guys should have done this instead. I want to be able to point at my engineer and say, this is either on you, Bolton and Mank, or on the contractor that did this.
Yeah,
Are
so,
we good on that?
yep, and
There's
the,
no other packages where we could get here,
well, we haven't,
right?
we haven't approved the construction part of our, of Bolton and Manx stuff yet. So that'll be, my goal is to have in the packet next month as far as our construction, observation and for the grant part of it. As far as the plan goes, the plan requires the contractor to hold a 2-year warranty. So all workmanship and everything's warranted. The bond, which is what we required, anything that they don't do is covered. So if they don't come in to do something that we didn't do, and as far as the engineering goes, it's all signed off.
So there's not gonna be any water in somebody's driveway?
Nope.
Okay, and if there is, it's not on us, it's on,
Correct.
okay,
And we have the survey, so.
all right.
Okay. All right.
I just wanna make sure, because I don't want another
$100,000.
issue, we'll say that.
And so you just said that there's this work here, and then there's supervisory, inspectory work from Bolton and Mank that you're gonna propose next month.
Yeah, I think I provided it this past spring, but obviously we didn't plan on waiting for the EPA for 7
You
months or whatever.
provided it in a packet that I saw?
Yeah, yep.
There was a rough estimate, I recall.
Yeah.
I vaguely recall. Do you
Okay.
have a ballpark?
I want to say it was like $30,000 or something like that.
We approved $30,000 for you
For the
for
design.
the design. Is this a separate amount?
Correct, yep.
Okay. And then do you have just when we get that, will that be like a list of line items that we,
Yep.
or that I guess I've seen before, that will be a list of line items so that we see exactly what we can expect?
Yep. For example,
Okay.
what I remember, because I just looked at this, was we're double checking it right now, is just the bid or the grant administration, like the dealing with everything that the grant requires us to do. It's $12,000 of that, if that makes sense.
It does.
So it'll be broken out of what that would all include.
Is this the last thing that we would have to pay for from Bolton and Meek regarding the lift station?
For this project, yeah.
For this particular?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm okay moving forward with SM Henches and Sons, as they are the lowest bidder, but I would think that we would probably want a resolution for this kind of money. So,
Have you worked with any of these companies before?
All of them.
You've worked with them? So
Not
what's
the
your-
top one. They're surprised everyone.
Twin
so,
Cities Utilities?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's been your experience?
All good.
Well,
SM Henches they're very resourceful.
What's that mean?
They're very large. So if like the issue with digging at all is you don't particularly like we have borings, but you don't know what's underground. So if you have a surprise, they have the resources to fix anything. Pember's the same way.
If we have a surprise, is that something we're gonna pay for?
If like a water main breaks, then yeah.
A water main, but
Yeah.
yeah, or the giant rock of birch or something.
We know that there's we know that there's bedrock in there and stuff already, so that's already been incorporated. So in the contract documents, we have the borings on it, which show that, so they're aware.
Well, as far as timing is concerned, then Justin, what's your thought?
I would just spin a resolution together if we can, quick,
Okay.
and,
Have it in our special meeting, too.
well, I
When-
can just whip it up now, if,
Okay. Yes.
and then we can quick
Get it on our second.
get it today, we can
That's-
quick
that's-
pass it today.
let's
Do it today.
Yeah, let's
I
do
mean,
that.
I can quick
Because
try
we
and
need
whip
to
up a
respond to
resolution.
these
That and
Because we need to do it, yeah, now.
yeah, they'll need to start ordering everything.
I just think for that amount,
Tentative.
it makes more
Agree.
sense to do it as a resolution. Yeah, I'll do it right now.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
let me just,
Great, all right.
So I have questions while we're.
just don't ask me any questions for the next 5
I'm
minutes.
not addressing you, so you just go ahead and type. Does this include the replacement of that road portion too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. It's within like our excavation limits, slightly past,
Okay,
but yeah.
okay. And then we had discussed with the road safety group that we wanted to.
With the
put that
signs and the
crosswalk
crosswalks,
everything.
yep.
Okay, so that's included as well?
Yep.
And then your rough estimate is approximately $30,000 left for Bolton and Mink, if
Correct.
we were guessing?
Yeah.
So then, as far as, that is still under budget from what we had initially looked at, correct?
From, what
From
do
the
you mean by-
estimate, the guesstimates we had way back when we knew we had to change the station from the original plan.
Oh, correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
I think that was all of my questions on this one.
And as far as like the construction goes, I want to say, well, they won't even start digging until everything's ready and be ready to be brought on site. So in total, they're talking about a matter of like a month at most of.
The total time?
Correct.
Okay.
So
Wait, I'm sorry, what was the?
The total amount of time it will take once they get everything on site, it's a month of construction.
it's a quick process. And so if they do it in 2 weeks, we bill hourly again. So it's
Max, you're at.
Yeah,
whatever
our
your rate is, time.
just like
Not
with
working
the 605,
24
our
hours.
estimates are trying to be
Okay.
cautious so we can budget appropriately.
Okay. And then I would assume as well, because we would need to shut down at minimum one side of that street, that any signage and everything that
Both will have to be
construction-wise-
shut down. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so we'll be rerouting traffic during that, so
Yep.
signage and anything would be
Don't
included as
close the
well.
road.
Correct. Yeah. And during that time, there'll be
Don't close the, I'm getting
There's two
jumpy.
roads.
There'll be very a very large pipe bypassing. So yeah, there'll be a lot of signs, a lot of.
I don't think there's a turnoff on that road either, so,
There's not.
oh, that'll be fun.
So
We know how much people love closing full
we're trying to
roads.
keep it. We try to keep it as minimal as possible, so it affects the least amount of properties. It won't be a through street, but they'll be able to pretty much come, for
Okay.
the most part, up to their houses.
All right.
So
Hey, Marcus, just for the resolution, when did we
Did it?
open the bids?
Ooh, opened. That's a good question.
Oops.
I believe it was the 30th of October.
All right, we'll fill it in with
The main thing is
actual
that
date,
it closed on the 4th of December.
The third, it says here?
Third.
Okay.
Correct, the 3rd, sorry, the 3rd, yep.
The fourth is when they removed their.
Correct, yeah, yep.
What is it?
2024-56,
2024-56.
correct.
Can I send this to you, Becky?
Yes.
It's done. It's actually really good, too.
If you don't say so yourself.
Your parting resolution.
Brilliant, brilliant piece of work.
Let's see, we pick it apart.
Okay, hold on, let me just make sure that I'm sending you the right one, Becky.
Whereas, you're,
Dinner would have been nice. All sorts of things.
All right.
Popcorn.
Yes, my parting gift to the city.
Well, gift is better than shot.
Killing lift station resolution. Soft word. Oh, okay, I think I did. Here, let me just make sure.
You
Yep.
want to read it to us?
Okay, sent.
We're gonna put it on
I will read it to you if you would like.
will it go up on the screen?
It should. Whereas the city of Birchwood Village has solicited bids for the construction of a new lift station as part of its ongoing infrastructure improvement project. And whereas the city oops, I'm sorry, there was a mistake. The city opened bids. It should not say received opened, but it should say the city opened bids for the project on blank, because we have to fill that in, and
I'll get
Marcus,
the
you'll
date to
get
make
that.
sure.
date.
Yep.
And after a thorough review of the bids, the bid submitted by SM Hentages and Sons, Inc. was determined to be the lowest responsible bidder. And whereas SM Hentages and Sons, Inc. submitted a bid in the amount of $585,037.21, that's right? Which is in compliance with the project specifications and meets the city's requirements for the lift station project. And whereas the city's engineer has reviewed the bid and recommends the award of the contract to SM Hentages and Sons for the amount of $585,037.21. And whereas the city council has determined that it is in the best interest of the city to award the contract for the lift station construction to SM Hentages and Sons, Inc. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the city of Birchwood Village, Minnesota, that the bid for the construction of the lift station project be and is hereby awarded to SM Hentages and Sons in the amount of $585,037.21. Be it further resolved that the city administrator, mayor, and city engineer are hereby authorized to execute all necessary documents to effectuate the contract with SM Hentages and Sons, Inc., and to proceed with the construction of the lift station in accordance with the terms and conditions of the bid.
All those $1,000,000 words in
That's
there.
excellent,
Very
Justin.
beautiful.
I know, I thought it was great, and I'll give you guys a little secret after the meeting.
Yeah,
Another town did this just recently?
Well, I mean, yeah, maybe.
Close.
Close. So Becky, there's one typo, and then it, did you get it? Okay, can you, I don't know if you can put it up on the big screen, but,
If I go downstairs and get the printout.
yeah, can we do, Chris?
You have my email? You want to email it to me? Becky, can you email it to me?
I got it, I can forward.
Yeah, you can do it. Just, can you just change the second whereas clause to say the city, opened bids instead of whatever the two verbs that I had there?
Yeah.
Opened and received.
Yeah, open receipt, yeah, so,
Oh, wait, I don't know why it's pronounced this way, but it's henches.
Henches?
Yeah.
Like almost like a CH sound.
Yeah.
Hmm.
all right,
Okay.
well, henches,
Not that it matters, but if you see him next year.
AKA hentages.
While we're waiting for that, do you send the Rice Creek watershed?
No, not yet. I still have to reach out to Alan on it too. I forgot-
Well, we have to approve Alan as being a
Yeah.
lawyer for us again, quick, so.
Okay, I just sent it to you, Chris.
Okay.
That sounds good.
I was hoping to get the response to you guys tomorrow. But
I know they wanted it by the 19th, but we did get it a year late, so I'm okay.
yeah,
Sorry, there's a problem opening, we can't open this document.
Oh, really? The one I sent you?
No, the one I sent to Chris.
Oh.
Maybe you can open it, I can't.
All right. Chris, can you open it? Otherwise,
Yeah, it's waiting for the email. There it is.
Got it? See if you can open it.
Let's see. Moving kind of slow.
Sorry, there's a problem.
Well, you're
yeah, I
free
mean,
down on the Elmo?
the other option is we could just put a vision of my screen up on the,
I think I've got it.
Okay.
yeah, that looks like it, Chris.
Is
Just
that the one with the
just
change,
change.
though?
Hold on, let me just change.
I tried to change it and
Yeah,
send
no,
them
we
the.
can just change it in Chris's version. Yeah, open bids. Yep, that's right. That's the right.
This is the right
I
one? That's
changed
perfect.
it, right?
Yep,
Yeah,
you did.
I did.
Yep.
And you were able to open it even though I wasn't.
Sometimes technology is a curse.
Got that old man sound now when I get up and down. You know, like,
You've been practicing the get off my lawn.
Yeah.
The next one.
hey, I've already perfected
Stop throwing
that.
concrete blocks.
I know, right? Yeah.
Where did you put all of them?
Well, I put them back because they're in a
Oh.
pile next to the dock because that's just,
Oh, they're the supports for the dock that they threw?
yeah, they just threw them all over the place.
Kids.
Kids these days.
A lot of glare on that, but
Okay. I don't like the font. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Looks good.
me scroll down?
And that's the right amount, right?
If you,
correct.
if you read it the same way it's written.
Yep.
Scroll down.
585,03721, yep.
Great.
Lovely.
Very good.
All right, I'll move to pass resolution 2024-56, awarding the bid to SM Henches and Sons, Inc. for the amount of $585,037.21 to construct our lift station.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, Marcus, for all your hard work on this.
Perfect. Anything
It
else
would
for
have
me?
been hilarious if someone said nay after all these years, like 2 years.
Jen, do you have any objections? No, you're good, all right.
All right, our next item, we are into the truth in taxation, adoption of final levy and budget. And so I will open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to address the council about our budget and tax levy?
Jen?
Mercifully, there is no one.
Go on, yeah, okay.
All right.
I will move to close the public hearing.
Yep. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I have a proposal that I'd like the council to consider. Our attorney column is, in my mind, $10,000 short. So I'd like to borrow from some other areas in order to bulk that up so that we can.
Hey,
our
Alan.
attorney, not the going rate, still under the going rate, but something more approximate.
Yeah, he's about half the going rate, so.
So, and I made a
He's a
stab
good-
at it, and I'll let you know where I made changes, and Dan.
Have at it. Let's hear it.
Okay.
And we have Marcia on the line, just so you know. She is
great.
going
Oh,
to
I'm
be
sorry,
waiting
Marcia.
for
Thank you,
us.
Marcia.
I'm sorry, Marcia, we should have moved you up.
Yeah, she's
Yeah, we're
been
running-
waiting this whole
that's
time.
okay.
So
Good evening.
sorry. We're running ahead.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Marcia. God.
Okay,
No
well,
worries. I wasn't feeling well, so I was able to stay home in my comfy sweats and stay warm. So I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
excellent.
I hope you have a warm beverage. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Well, the areas that I chose to glean this $10,000 were, first of all, page 166 of the packet, 3 of 6 on the budget sheet. Under legislative, legal notices and publishing, we have 3,000 budgeted, and I recommend 2,000, so we get $1,000 there.
Okay,
And then on page 4 of 6, 167, under general government buildings and plant, under repair and maintenance supplies, we have budgeted 2,500, and I recommend we go down to 1,500, we get another $1,000 there. Okay, and then on page 5 of 6, page 168 in the budget, for the snow and ice removal, I'm gambling, we're not going to get a lot of snow this year, and instead of a 20,000 and 20,000, 16 and 16, and we glean 8.
okay.
Big gamble.
Why, did we ever make a
We
determination?
still have money left from this year's budget.
Do we ever make a determination on the interfund transfers to the capital improvement fund, whether we needed any of that?
We were originally holding it for the lift station if we would need it.
Okay, because I don't, I guess, I mean, to me, like, I'm not gonna debate this, that's kind of where I was thinking, Margaret, but I don't think it matters that much, we can always shift
We
stuff
can-
around
we
a
can
little bit, and I
later,
don't disagree
yeah.
with you on, we need to bump up our attorney budget a little bit, so I think let's go with what you have.
Okay, yeah, we can move things around later.
I
if
was
we
looking
have
at
to.
that too,
Margaret,
so.
do we need the survey money too? The $2,000 survey money we did all the surveys for all of our public properties, I believe.
That's not the survey for roads for the next one, right?
No, I don't think so. It says survey
Which
public
page are
property.
you,
Page 5 of 6, professional services, $2,000. Survey public property. All of our, as far as I know, all of our easements were surveyed recently.
So we should be done with that.
We should be done with
Then
that.
the bill that we have for the last,
I mean, we can take that $2,000 and put 1,000 each back into snow removal just in case.
17.
Yeah, just in case, and then do that. That'd be my
And remove the
suggestion.
survey to 0. Okay,
Yeah.
let's do that. All right, that sounds good.
No surveys, guys.
No surveys,
Okay.
okay. Yeah.
At least not
I'm
next year.
sorry, how much should it go into legal?
And then legal, we have, I believe, 20 now, Marcia, and then
Yes.
that will be 30.
That'll be 30, okay.
Yeah. And do you have the other numbers then? 17?
Yes.
17, and then, okay, and so the total number doesn't change.
Yeah, we're not changing
But
the
we're just
total budget,
moving-
we're just moving stuff around.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, you got all those, Marcia? And that's.
do.
Looks fine, okay.
That was pretty good if you got all those.
No kidding.
Well, Marcia's good, Marcia's good.
She's a pro.
Okay, well, all right,
All right.
okay. Are there any other comments from council on our budget?
If you're pulling numbers from places, I'm looking at the contracted services inspector. It's budgeted for 60,000. What 2023 is 50. 2022 is 21. Is that?
That's because we hired a new inspector.
Got it.
Yeah, and the inspection fees, most of that, so that's, yeah, so like our inspections, we hire Jack Kramer, and our contract with him is like, I want to say 70% of that goes to him. So that's, there's an offsetting, so that's income, but then there's an offsetting one in the other side of the budget.
Got it.
That
Got it.
zeroes that out, kind
Got
of, yeah. Good question, though.
All right, any further questions? Okay,
I move to adopt Resolution 2024-48.
Justin will
Adopt the
second.
Final budget.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries, resolution adopted, passes adopting the final budget for fiscal year 2025.
I move to adopt Resolution 2024-49, adopting the final levy on real property located within the corporate limits of the city of Birchwood Village.
Justin will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries. Resolution adopted. All right.
I'll move. We can just keep going, right?
I moved.
I'll move to adopt Resolution 2024-50, certifying unpaid
We
utility
can see it.
charges.
Let's see how far we can get through next month.
I know. Let's just keep going.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Oh, wait, we needed a public hearing, sorry. Back up, big step
All right.
backward.
Wait a minute.
Open the public hearing.
Open the public hearing, okay.
No one's here.
Here, well,
Jen.
yeah.
Jen. Well, I assume, Jen, you're not going to comment on this, but you can. Please do if you would like.
Don't have a chilling effect on.
Oh, okay.
She's leaving now. No.
All right, seeing no one to comment at the public hearing, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is closed. All right, now would you make your?
I'll move to pass Resolution 2024-50, certifying unpaid charges for collection.
I'd like to make a comment on it, but I'll second, but I'd like to make a
Yes,
comment.
Please do.
The comment I have is that I mentioned this to Becky, but the top property on this list is in Ramsey County, not Washington County. That's the 25 is the township, and 25 is probably White Bear Township. So I don't know how we need to handle that, but I
We
would.
need to certify it to Ramsey County.
I
Yeah,
would
we're
suggest-
working on that.
Yep.
Yeah, I talked to Shelley and Teresa's reached out to Washington County, so thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah.
Shelley said it's normal. She thinks that in the past, we just typically have certified to Washington County and then the counties do the transactions, but
Well, if that's the case,
I will
then
say-
fine.
I hope that's the case.
I will say the resolution doesn't specify Washington County. It just says to the county.
Oh, all right.
So I think we're covered.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right.
Now we're on to G, second reading of ordinance 2024-1101.
Public hearing.
One-off changes.
Public
I
hearing?
open the public
Yeah.
hearing.
Oh, sorry. Getting ahead of you.
That's okay. Seeing no one to comment at the public hearing, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is closed.
I'll move to pass ordinance 2024-1101, an ordinance amending section 302.055 land disturbance activity standards.
May I have a second? I'll second it. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
So I think we need to publish this, right?
Yeah.
We do.
So do we need a resolution to publish?
It's short enough
Okay,
that we don't need the summary publication.
fantastic.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, H, second reading of ordinance 2024-0301,
This one's.
402, solid and hazardous waste management.
All right.
I'd like to open the public hearing. Seeing no one to comment at the public hearing, may I move to close the public hearing? May I have a second?
I'll second, Justin.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is closed.
So this is my kind of attempt at paring this down a little bit and incorporating some of the feedback. So one of the things I did is kind of simplified some of the stuff. You know, I added, what did I do? Oh, so one of the things I did is like, for example, I just made like a 402-080 illegal waste disposal, and I just kind of brought everything under there rather than, because there were separate sections for each of those sort of scattered about. And I know that technically we don't necessarily have that because like you said, Kathy, it's in the state statute, but I kind of figured it'd be nice just to have it in our ordinances anyway and just.
Since we've already listed everything else, why does it
Yeah,
matter?
yeah. The unlicensed open dumps kind of sounds funny, but I thought about it and I'm like, well, I mean, if someone tried to like make a dump on their property, I mean, yeah, I just leave it in there. And
I'll spare you the jokes about.
so, and most of it was just reorganizing and kind of consolidating, and I sort of took out some of the like screening requirements and some of the like timing requirements for getting your containers out. Because while some of those things would be nice, like I don't see us sending Becky out like the night before collection to make sure that everyone's out there by a certain time or whatever. You know, it's just, we're not going to do it. And I just don't want to give more people that want to fight with neighbors more reason to do that, to be honest with you. So, you know, I'm open to feedback or comments on this because it was, it's kind of unwieldy. Just like even my version, like I wish I could have. You know, there's that.
It is long.
It is long.
There's
yeah.
not a lot you can do about it.
Well, and it's that old quote I think from what was it, Mark Twain, where it's like, you know, I would have sent you a shorter letter, but I ran out of time or something like that, and so I wish I could have further distilled it, but I ran out of time, and you know.
I think you did your person's duty here, Justin.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I think it's actually pretty good, so I'll move to adopt resolution.
So long you can't even.
I'll move to adopt ordinance 2024-0301.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ordinance adopted.
I'm a little sad that my last ordinance is a garbage ordinance. I signed it already. Okay. You need to sign it though.
Okay. Our next item is second reading of ordinance 2024-0302, 401 scavenging of recycling materials prohibited.
Do we want to do the summary publication first?
Yeah, because that one has to go with,
Oh, that one does. Okay.
yeah, so it's resolution 2024-55.
Right.
Yep.
I move to adopt resolution 2024-55, approving summary publication of ordinance 2024-0301.
I'll second, Justin.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Now we're on to the second reading of ordinance 2024-0302, 401 scavenging of recycling materials prohibited. I'd like to open the public hearing. Seeing no one to comment, I move to close the public hearing. May I have a second?
I'll second, Justin.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is closed.
I move to adopt ordinance 2024-0302, repealing ordinance 401, scavenging of recyclable materials prohibited.
Justin will second.
All right, any further comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Did you have comment, Kathy?
I did have a comment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay,
Go
it doesn't change what I'm voting. This one is replaced by the long
It's,
Yeah.
they're
garbage.
merged,
So I just
yep,
wanted to mention said thing
yep,
Okay.
yep,
Okay.
there you go.
for all the fun people who are still watching at home.
I wonder how many.
Right.
Summary publication.
6?
There's 6?
6 people? We got to get that up on a screen up here so we can try to do better.
One of them is definitely my dad.
Thank you to the rest, thank you to those people that do
Do we need a summary publication for this one?
No.
this. We need a resolution thanking the
Okay.
6 people that.
So,
Or apologizing.
yeah, no summary resolution for this one is short, yeah.
All right, our next item is J, attorney update, and there are 2 documents here. First of all, there's a proposed agreement for legal services between the city of Birchwood and Alan Cantrud, who is our former city attorney. And I think everyone's read it. Are there any questions about it?
No, I think.
We're increasing the salary.
I think Alan provides extreme value to the city, and I think Becky depends on Alan, to help her. And, I mean, when you look at what other communities are spending on their legal services, Alan is by far quite a bit more cost-effective, so.
Yeah, and, he does know us, and there is something to be said, too, for continuity
Yeah.
here. And so I make a motion to contract with Alan Cantrud to be our city attorney according to the terms of the agreement
I'd
set
like,
forth.
I have a question about
Sure.
it. We can-
Should we do a
You can get a
second?
second first. I
Yeah.
can even second. I'll
Okay,
second.
all right, yes, please,
Um,
please comment.
The question I have is this increases his salary, and I assume Alan isn't here tonight. Maybe he's got something more fun, but I assume he's not here tonight because the contract expired. It says this is effective December 15th, which is halfway through the month. And I don't know if we pay this on a monthly basis, just like the 15th through the 15th or something. Has Alan been providing legal services for the first half of this month?
Pretty much. When I call him, he's never said him not on the clock. And I've even said, Margaret said, we can bill you, maybe we just keep paying him, I don't know.
So I would accept this, I'm fine with this contract, but I hate to short Alan
Oh,
for the
yeah.
first half of the month. That's the only comment I have. So, I mean, maybe we pay him at the old rate for that. But we could pay him I don't know how you guys want to work that, but I really don't want to not pay him when he's been working for us, even though, any thoughts on how we resolve that?
Just, when your motion or whatever, I would just add that we'll pay him for up from December 1st to
Yeah,
whatever his last paycheck
okay.
is up to the 15th, because he's been providing legal services to Becky, so.
Let's do
I
that.
mean, I'm trying not to call him because I know.
No, I get it.
I know.
All right, do you
I
have,
know,
do you have
but,
that
like,
amendment?
Let's just pay him.
It's just a
I don't-
motion. We're just moving to approve that contract, and then also, well, let's just do a separate motion.
Yeah, we can do a separate motion. I just don't want to, I think it's kind of sleazy.
And this would be
to-
offering, this would be
to not pay him.
offering the contract to Alan, and he would have to accept it.
Yeah.
Right, it's just
Guaranteed.
offering it
Yeah,
at this
yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then,
But we've talked to him, and it sounds like he would accept it, is what I understand.
all right, all
I
right.
think, right?
Okay, so,
No one's heard to the contrary, but.
yeah, but still, we'll.
Yeah.
It's sort of to the affirmative. Okay, well, fair enough, so,
Okay.
okay.
I thought there was discussion.
So-
All right.
So the motion?
Yeah, we have a motion, we have a second.
We had a second.
And then,
All-
so we just
all
have
in-
to vote.
Yep, all in
So
favor?
the motion is to,
Approve the contract.
Approve the contract.
And we'll deal with this pay up to the 15th.
okay.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And now, would you like to make the motion, Justin, about?
Yeah, I'll move to make sure we pay Alan for the last 2 weeks of his legal advice. I don't know, do we want to do with the new rate or the old rate? I don't really.
I feel like we'll have fewer complaints if we do the old rate since legally we're.
Yeah,
on the
okay, at the
15th,
old rate,
but
I'll
Pay
do
the old
that.
rate.
As much as I'd like to pay him the new rate.
Yeah.
All right, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, the next item is K, new variance application, Ryan.
So I guess we're not posting, I was just wondering, are we going to post, since it doesn't sound like this is final, should we authorize the RFP in the case that Alan does not
We
accept?
can do that.
I think that might not be a bad idea, or do we think he's likely to accept, or we just don't know, or?
I feel like we should in the event
Okay,
that he surprises
well-
us, because then we don't have to come back.
I will move,
Resignation was a surprise.
yeah, I will move to hope we don't have to use the RFP, but to post the RFP if the city attorney, if the former city attorney doesn't agree to the contract as proposed.
I second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Now we're on to K, new variance application.
Yeah, so this should be simple. Alan reviewed this a while ago, and with the new variance code, I think this is a little closer to what we actually expect from applicants and what the state requirements are. So I just throwing it in here to ask Becky to replace the application on the website with this one. And anybody has any comments, that's okay too. But otherwise, my motion is just to request that Becky post this as a replacement of the variance application on the website.
I have a few comments.
Well, let's get
Okay.
a second. I second
I'll
it.
second it,
Okay,
yeah.
go ahead,
Yeah,
Justin.
So on page 201 of the packet, it says, upon recommendation of the planning commission, the city council will consider and decide the variance application at the city council's next meeting. I would just remove the timing of that, just because we don't want to be held to that necessarily. I'm always a little bit leery
Yeah.
with, I mean, there's a statutory requirement of 60 days, but that can be extended, so the city can extend that. And so I just don't want to like lead people to believe that that necessarily is the case.
Should we just say it, just planning commission period and take out at its next meeting?
Yeah, and then the city council will consider and decide the variance application upon recommendation. Yeah, I think you could do it by just saying the city council, so change the sentence to the city council will consider and decide the variance application upon recommendation of the planning commission, period. And then that just removes the timing. I know what you're getting at, you're trying to set some expectations for people.
Right.
But I just don't want to people to be like, oh, you said,
Absolutely.
um,
It puts us at some level of risk that we may
Yeah.
or may not be able to control.
right, and, the statutory deadline is 60 days, but we also have the option on our end of increasing it by another 60 days, I think.
And
think it's
what Alan has schooled me on is essentially, as soon as I get a variance, the first thing I do is tell him we're gonna take the extension.
Yeah. So the next thing is under G, specify each section of the city code for which a variance is sought. I like that. One thing I would just do is put a note that section 302.050, which is our non-conforming thing, is not a section that's even in our ordinance, that 302.050 is not. So we've had people in the past that come in for a variance and then they want a variance from 302.050, which is our non-conforming structures ordinance, but that's
why they need it.
But that's why they need it, because they're not conforming. You don't get a variance from that section. You get a variance from a different section that causes it to be non-conforming. So I would just put a note there so we don't get a bunch of those. Then I don't know how J is good in the sense that that's the statutory standards, but I don't know how people are gonna know if the variance is consistent with a comprehensive plan. But then again, I don't know that we remove that, you know what I mean? Like, so I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on that, but.
I kind of like to have it in there just because, people need to do their homework, get some
Yeah.
skin in the game.
I wish they would, and I
Yeah.
wish some of these, professional builders that charge all this money to homeowners would actually know the codes, but they don't. So,
We're asking.
but
them
I'm
to.
okay, if folks are okay with it, that's fine,
Okay.
you can leave it.
Right.
Yeah, maybe then they have to crack open the plan and actually
And our
look at it.
codes. Yeah,
Yeah, and our codes.
and our plan.
So that would be my only amendments then.
Looks fine.
All right. Well, subject to the amendments that Justin has proposed.
Well, we have a motion and a second.
Okay.
right? So,
All right.
I'll accept.
you'll accept those amendments? Okay, and then whoever seconded it needs to accept that then.
Yes, I'll accept those amendments.
Good work on this,
All
Ryan.
in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Yes, thanks, Ryan.
That's
Thank you.
very good, yeah. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
the hockey stuff, is that going away?
That's
That
gone.
one's gone.
Are you going to make those changes, Ryan? Do you have those tracked?
Yeah, I can do that quick. That's a quick job.
Thank you.
I'll get that to you the next day or two.
Okay.
Man, this is a
All right, and then we have removed the hockey rink board replacement discussion from the agenda for tonight. Next is M, Administrator Updates. Becky?
Uh-huh, okay.
That's late.
Tree steward, yeah, so I got, some information from, or I should say Washington Conservation District reached out to me and said that they have a program that they do at the University of Minnesota to have a tree steward support us. So I just wanted to make sure you guys were okay with that and gain buy-in. It doesn't cost us anything, it's a free service. I think it will be helpful because in a lot of cases, I'm looking for someone to go check out this tree or that tree. You know, with any kind of mentorship thing, there's always the fear of it becoming more work than is helpful. So I did kind of
You had me at
ponder whether
3.
it's gonna be worth it or not, we'll see. But I guess I'm willing to give it a shot, because I think it's a valuable service that Birchwood is.
No orange paint and no private property, and we're good.
Well, would this be able to replace our paid?
No, this is a college student.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, so they're not
okay.
trained that much yet?
Right,
Okay.
they are.
Well, that might be
you know,
better.
But they can do brush clearing for us. I think they're
Oh.
required to put in like 25 hours or something like that,
Is,
so.
like, if I talked to somebody a little bit, or maybe somebody from the Parks Committee would like to, and just like walk around town and talk about, hey, this would be good to do, that'd be good to do, so.
Yeah, it's a
Like,
resource.
if somebody else wants to, that's fine, but
Yeah.
like, I'd do that a little bit, so.
I will say that I have put in several calls at this point to Steve Dean, and I'm not getting a response back regarding cutting down the trees that the inspector had designated as hazardous. So I still need,
Steve,
if anybody's got any thoughts.
Yeah, I do, Becky. I'll send you my contact.
Steve wanted to talk a little bit about that. He wanted to sit down. I saw him on the road, so maybe you have a different contact. I don't know.
I've left him several voicemails.
Yeah,
So,
he sounded like he.
I don't want to
wanted
harass him either, you know. at
He
this
just,
point.
he said in January, he'd like to just sit down with Jen and me, so we'll see. I don't know why me, but maybe because I have chainsaws, but.
Okay, so just, that's out there pending.
Sure, should we make a motion to have Becky pursue the tree steward program?
So moved.
All right, second?
Well, a second, Justin.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Investigate the tree steward, Becky.
Cool, yeah.
All right.
And then last but not least, the technology conversion update. Phones seem to be working fine. On Thursday, we do our cut over. So we've had, SEC TV, techie dudes have been kind of in and out the last couple of weeks or so, preparing for that day.
How's Techie Dudes been to work with?
Good. Yeah, we have I like that we have a designated contact. I don't know if that will be forever, but we do have a designated contact that's very responsive.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for you and putting that all together, and Ryan for making that happen, and
Yeah.
we're gonna save a lot of money, I think.
Yeah, and then there was we approved that on the consent agenda, so.
The router,
Yeah.
the firewall.
I do have one question, Becky. This is just, I saw in this email that the subject title of the email was reduction, the email that Metro INET is sending, the subject of it says BV, Birchwood Village, reduction from full service to associate services for 2025. Like, my understanding and hope is that we are reducing from full service to nothing from 2025. Yeah, but and the only place I see this is in the subject. They're not planning to continue to charge us, are they?
No.
Because it says reduction from full service to associate services, and that sounds like,
Am I in that email? Maybe
you
I
are,
didn't
yeah,
catch
it's
it.
just the subject line, and that's the only thing I'm asking is, we should be done with them next year, and I just thought I would raise it,
Right.
that associate services better be free.
Can
So-
you forward that one to me
Yeah.
and just say, check on this or something like that? If you have it up,
I
otherwise
mean,
I'll
I have
take
it,
it down.
yeah, let me I can do that.
If you don't have it up, that's fine,
Yeah, no, you'll have it in about 3 seconds.
okay, because then I'll follow up just to make sure, because that's what was communicated, like, we're done with them at the end of the year.
Yeah, and I don't know what that is, but I just don't want them to expect Birchwood dollars, so.
Right.
All right, well, thanks for moving that forward, so.
Yep.
Awesome.
Great. Have any other concerns, anything, Becky, on tech services?
No,
Okay.
I don't think so, not right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you, everybody. It was a pleasure working with you all.
Yeah, I just
And
wanna-
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Do I need to sign this before you?
No.
Okay.
I'll
Have a
second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Congratulations.